Chapter 15-17. Li Bing refused to admit that he had raped her. Even if he was extremely guilty now, anyone could see that he was guilty. But he insisted that it was Ning Shu who had seduced him and that they were a couple. His girlfriend seduced him, so of course he didn't have to endure it. After that, the police placed the test results in front of Li Bing. This is ironclad evidence. Your body fluid was found in the victim's body. I had that kind of relationship with Wang Ying, so I'm definitely in her body. I've said it before, I'm in a legitimate relationship with her. I didn't rape her. We were both willing. It was that bitch who wanted to blackmail me. I was wronged. I was wronged. Li Bing still cried out. Then what about this surveillance video? Did you see it clearly? The police pushed the computer in front of Li Bing and pressed the confirm button. The pixel of the video was not good. It was the surveillance video of the supermarket. First, a woman entered the small warehouse. Not long after, a man came to the door of the warehouse. He looked around and then entered the warehouse. The video captured Li Bing's face. This is you, right? Li Bing's forehead was sweating. He stammered, I just wanted to be intimate with my girlfriend. Li Bing was an unloader. When the goods arrived at the supermarket, Li Bing helped to unload the goods from the truck. If there was work, he would do it. If there was no work, he would stay at home. Anyway, the woman accused you of rape. You can discuss whether you want to settle this privately or publicly. The police said. If the woman is willing to give a statement and admit that you are a couple, this matter can be settled privately. If the other party insists on suing you, you may face jail time. When Li Bing heard that he would go to jail, his face turned green. I will go to jail. In Li Bing's heart, only murder would cause him to go to jail. He didn't do anything. How could he go to jail? Li Bing was temporarily detained. The follow-up of this matter would have to be seen. Li Bing was a little uneasy, but he comforted himself in his heart that Wang Ying wouldn't dare to make a big deal out of this. After a while, he would be able to get out. Do you want to settle this privately? The policewoman handed Ning Shu a paper cup filled with water. Ning Shu held the cup, lowered his head and said, I definitely won't settle this privately. This matter can't be settled privately. This isn't my fault. Why did the victim have to bear it? It was obvious that the perpetrator was fine, just because she was a woman. Ning Shu wasn't afraid of rumors and slanders. He wasn't afraid of these verbal attacks. He only dared to spout nonsense. If you have the ability, what can you do to me? Do you dare to lay a finger on me? She would never compromise with a rapist. I definitely won't settle this privately. According to the law, those who rape women by violence, coercion, or other means shall be sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison. Moreover, Li Bing refused to admit his guilt. He insisted that he and Wang Ying had a normal relationship. I'll send you back, the policewoman Ning Shu said. Ning Shu thanked her repeatedly, thank you. I think your family doesn't treat you very well. I'll go back with you. At least I can intimidate your parents. Sometimes, you can't imagine living in a modern society. I received a report from a village that wanted to drown a woman. Fortunately, we rushed there quickly and it didn't lead to a tragedy. Ning Shu was speechless. It's because that woman is a widow, and a beautiful one at that. The policewoman spread her hands and said helplessly, sometimes, people's ignorance and stupidity are beyond your imagination. Ning Shu nodded, anyway, thank you. Although Ning Shu felt that no one would do anything to him, the policewoman's thoughts made Ning Shu's heart feel very warm. He who is wise in reading knows that the universe is big, and he cherishes the grass and trees. The policewoman drove Ning Shu to the door of his house. Ning Shu got out of the car. Wang Ying's mother was feeding the chickens. She glanced at Ning Shu and continued to feed the chickens. She didn't ask about Ning Shu at all. Wang Ying's father sat on the threshold and smoked. His face was full of worry. Wang Chao was probably holed up in the house playing controller games again. Anyway, no one was happy about Ning Shu's return. Even the policewoman was a little embarrassed. She walked to the side of the chicken coop and said to Wang Ying's mother, Wang Ying has been hurt and is a little traumatized. Please take care of her. Wang Ying's mother lowered her eyelids and poured the corn kernels from the broken bowl into the chicken coop. She said to the policewoman, after doing such a thing, The whole village knows that our Wang family has done such a shameful thing. Do you still want me to worship her like a bodhisattva? Wang Ying's mother said sarcastically as she clasped her hands together and bowed. After such a shameful thing happened, you still want to call the police and let everyone know. I don't have such a shameless daughter. The policewoman suddenly didn't know what to say. She looked at Ning Shu helplessly. Some things couldn't be explained by just saying it. They had their own logic, and they firmly believed that their logic was correct. The policewoman didn't waste her time saying anything to Wang Ying's mother. Instead, she said to Ning Shu, "Don't be sad. Relax. This is the same as being in a car accident and breaking your leg, or being scratched by someone and being robbed. There's nothing you can't get through." Ning Shu looked up and smiled at the policewoman. "Thank you, I understand. Then I'm leaving. Call me if there's anything." The policewoman opened the car door. Ning Shu walked to the car window and said to the policewoman, "Can you lend me something?" "A recording pen." The policewoman took out a recording pen from the pocket of her uniform. "Here, this is what we use for investigation. Take it first." Ning Shu put the recording pen in his pocket. "I'm leaving. Remember to call me if there's anything." The policewoman stepped on the accelerator and turned the steering wheel to leave. Wang Ying's mother looked at Ning Shu from the corner of her eyes. "You still have the nerve to laugh. Don't you have any shame?" Ning Shu said directly, "No, not at all. I've inherited you in this aspect." "Damn woman." Wang Ying's mother raised her hand and wanted to hit Ning Shu. Ning Shu immediately shouted, "Brother, my dear brother, where are you? Sister misses you so much." Wang Ying's mother's expression changed. Ning Shu went to his room. When he passed by Wang Ying's father who was sitting on the threshold, he called him Dad. Ning Shu found a bag and packed all the clothes he could wear. When this matter was over, he wanted to leave this place and start a new life. How could he talk about starting a new life in this poor place? He wanted to go out and see the world. Trapping himself in this uncivilized lump, surrounded by negative comments, was simply self-torture. When it was time for dinner, no one called Ning Shu. Ning Shu didn't stand on ceremony. He took out 3 eggs that Wang Ying's mother had hidden in the cupboard. Then he lit a fire to fry the eggs and ate them. If he didn't eat his fill, he wouldn't have the energy to face these terrible things. Chapter 15:18. Ning Shu took the egg, which made Wang Ying's mother very angry, but she didn't dare to hit her. Now, her daughter had been driven crazy. The wretched girl who gave up on herself could do anything. She might even beat her son if she was angry. She was used to being a humble and obedient daughter. Such a rebellious and selfish daughter was particularly annoying. "Wang Ying, get out here. Shameless bitch, you seduced my son and even sued him for rape." Shameless bitch. The sky was dark, and suddenly there was a sharp scolding sound at the door. Ning Shu was eating noodles when she heard such a loud voice. Moreover, the words were so vulgar and distinctive. She knew it was Li Bing's mother. Ning Shu calmly picked up the noodles and gulped down the soup. "Look at what you have done. Now you can't live in peace." Wang Ying's mother, Ning Shu, spat. The scolding outside the house continued, which attracted a lot of people. They came over with flashlights to watch the show. Li Bing's mother saw that there were more people and scolded more and more vigorously. All kinds of dirty words were not repeated. Ning Shu drank the last mouthful of soup in the bowl and burped. "Can't you let me sleep? What's the fuss about?" Wang Chao came out of the room, looking unhappy. Ning Shu smiled and walked toward Wang Chao. She grabbed Wang Chao's collar and pulled him to the door. "Let's go and seek justice with sister. Sister loves you so much. You won't leave her in the lurch, right? Let go of Wang Chao. There are so many people outside. What if they hurt Wang Chao?" Wang Ying's mother quickly pulled Ning Shu's hand and asked Ning Shu to let go of Wang Chao. Wang Chao was also struggling. "This is all your fault. You didn't even inform your family before calling the police. Now that they've come knocking on our door, all you know is to pull people away." Ning Shu tilted his head and looked at Wang Chao, whose face was red from struggling. The client had no sense of presence in this family. His parents did not love him. Actually, it didn't matter if her father didn't dote on her or her mother didn't love her. The key was that she had also put herself down very low. She didn't even love herself. Ning Shu loosened his grip on Wang Chao's collar. Wang Chao was originally struggling, but Ning Shu suddenly released him and he fell to the ground with a plop. Wang Chao rubbed his buttocks and grimaced in pain. Wang Ying's father smoked a cigarette and said, "Don't go out. Wait for her to make a fuss for a while and then she will leave when she is bored." Ning Shu sneered in his heart. He opened the door and reached into his pocket. Li Bing's mom was sitting on the ground crying. When she saw Ning Shu come out, she stood up from the ground and pointed at Ning Shu and scolded him. She scolded him for being a bitch who seduced men shamelessly. Her spittle was flying everywhere. Many flashlights were shining on Ning Shu's face. Ning Shu used his hand to block the strong light from the flashlights. "Whoever dares to shine on my face again, I will not be polite," Ning Shu said coldly. Li Bing's mom scolded for a while and finally stopped. Ning Shu said, "Go and tell the police that you were willing. My son did not rape you." Li Bing's mom was arrested during the day. When she saw her son, she heard that he was going to jail. The only way was to let the woman admit that it was not rape and that it was a consensual thing. When Li Bing's mom heard that her son was going to jail, she suddenly felt that the sky was falling down. Her son was her only support. If her son was going to jail, what should she do? Li Bing's mom came back overnight. As soon as she came back, she ran to Ning Shu's house and made a big fuss. Li Bing's mom had already thought about it. She wanted to scold the Wang family until they could not find North. She wanted to overwhelm them and then negotiate with her. Ning Shu listened to Li Bing's mom's request without any expression. "Wang girl, you are a girl. If this matter becomes big, it will not do you any good. Let's see who dares to marry you. Even if I don't marry in this life, I want Li Bing to go to jail." Ning Shu said indifferently, "He hurt me. How can I let it go so easily? I'm not afraid that no man wants me. I just don't know if Li Bing is afraid of going to jail." Ning Shu grinned. "You black-hearted rotten thing. If you really want to do this, you deserve to be raped." Li Bing's mom shouted angrily. Ning Shu said loudly, "Everyone listen. She admitted that her son raped me. When the time comes, the police will talk to you. You all have to testify in court." The people around quickly dispersed. It was okay to watch the show, but it was not worth it to get into trouble. Of course, there were still a lot of people who were watching the show. "Nonsense. When did my son rape you? It was you who shamelessly climbed into my son's bed." Ning Shu was speechless. "Are you blind? Don't you see what your son looks like? He is an old bachelor. Who would climb into his bed? He is old and ugly. I will not change my confession even if I die. I want your son to go to jail. Your son raped me. Even if I become a ghost, I will not let him go." Li Bing's mom wanted to kill Ning Shu, but she was really afraid that her son would go to jail. "It is not good for you to make a scene like this. You are a tough woman. Which man would dare to want you? If you tell the police that you did it willingly, I will let you marry Li Bing," Li Bing's mom said. Ning Shu was speechless. "Is marrying your son a big deal? Is your son's penis made of gold? You can even use this as a condition. Damn you." Wang Ying's mom quickly came out. Ning Shu said, "That's enough. Anyway, you and Li Bing already have that kind of relationship. You might as well get married." Ning Shu was speechless. "Are you my biological mother?" Ning Shu asked incredulously. "You want to marry the person who raped me?" Ning Shu smiled. After experiencing so much, Ning Shu felt that he was already used to it. 100 people have 100 logics. When these logics contradict you, don't panic. Then what do you think we should do? It is all your fault. You had to make such a big deal out of it. Now, people who don't know that you were raped already know. Who are you going to marry in the future? You can't stay at home for the rest of your life. You are always so disobedient. What do you think you can do to Li Bing? Li Bing is going to jail. What about you? What are you going to do in the future? If you don't listen to your elders, you will suffer. Wang Ying's mom chattered. Ning Shu smiled, that she was so considerate of her. She must be her biological mother. If you can get Li Bing out of jail, you can get married when Li Bing comes back. What do you think? Li Bing's mom said happily when she saw that the other party's elders had agreed. Although she was not satisfied with this daughter-in-law, the most important thing now was to get her son out of jail. Chapter 1519. If they were really sentenced, then it would be over. If they bailed out their son, they would have to spend a lot of money. The guarantee money would definitely be in the tens of thousands. They were orphans and widows. If they had tens of thousands, they would have already gotten married. Now that they had grandchildren, their son would not have to rape women. I also agree that they should get married, Wang Ying's father said as he walked out of the house. Then we will be in-laws in the future, Li Bing's mom said happily. Ning Shu looked at these three people who added up to more than 150 years old and decided to marry her to a rapist so hastily. No one listened to her wishes and opinions. The client's fate was decided in such an ignorant situation. Marrying the person who raped and hurt her. Fate went with the flow. Ning Shu, isn't it shameful to become in-laws? Ning Shu's face was invulnerable. So what if she was raped? What can you do to me? I don't expect or need any man to forgive me and forgive me for being raped. Being alone for a lifetime was not right to be submissive to a man because she was raped. She was afraid that she would make a man unhappy because she was raped. Li Bing's mom thought that the matter was resolved, so she patted her butt and left in satisfaction. Before she left, she asked, "I'm a little hungry. Do you have any leftovers? Do you want to eat pig's food?" Ning Shu said coldly, "You are threatening me. I will not marry your son." Li Bing's mom sneered. "This was decided by me and your parents. When did it become your turn to speak, shameless woman?" Wang Ying's mom tugged at Ning Shu. "There's no more food." Li Bing's mom left unhappily. "She will be your mother-in-law in the future. Don't argue with her. Otherwise, you will suffer in the future," Wang Ying's mom said. Ning Shu chuckled. "If you want to marry, then marry. Damned woman, if you keep spouting nonsense, I'll tear your mouth off." Ning Shu closed the door, blocking out Wang Ying's mother's voice. She took out the things the policewoman had given her. This was what she had asked the policewoman for earlier. Everything that had just happened had been recorded. You want to get married just because you want to? You want to use this method to escape the punishment of the law? Dream on. If he couldn't change the world, then he would change himself. Compromising wouldn't make things better. Sometimes, taking a step back wouldn't make things better. If you take a step back, others won't appreciate it. Without principles and a bottom line, it would only be trampled upon by others, and your bottom line would be trampled even lower. Just like Li Bing's mom, she still felt that it was a glorious thing for someone else to marry her son. She wouldn't feel guilty for hurting you. Therefore, when you encounter such a situation, you have to know that they know pain and pain. Only then can you empathize with them. Ning Shu had never done anything to redeem someone. What she did was cremation. Then she would send the Buddha to the west and scatter his ashes. Ning Shu wouldn't change a rapist, let alone an ugly rapist. Even if he was handsome, Ning Shu would still scatter his ashes. The next day, Ning Shu prepared to go to the county's police station. Before leaving, Wang Ying's mother stopped Ning Shu. "Speak nicely to the police. What good will Li Bing do for you if he goes to jail? It's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Li Bing won't stay in jail forever. After he is released, we still have to work together. We are all from the same village." Ning Shu felt that Wang Ying's mother was afraid that Li Bing would take revenge after he was released from jail. That's why she wanted to keep the peace. Ning Shu smiled and stretched out his hand. Wang Ying's mother asked, "What? Give me money. Do you want me to walk to the county?" She wouldn't be able to reach the county by tomorrow morning. "I don't have money." Wang Ying's mother was unhappy when she talked about money. Ning Shu sat on the stool. "Then I won't go. I want Li Bing to go to jail more than anyone else. Give her some money. Just treat it as spending money to avoid disaster," Wang Ying's father said. Wang Ying's mother reluctantly went into the house to get the money. Ning Shu followed behind her and saw her take out a stack of money from the cabinet. Ning Shu took all the money. How can you use so much money? Wang Ying's mother wanted to snatch the money back. Ning Shu put the money in his pocket and went out. Ning Shu took a car to the county's police station. Today was the day of the court hearing. According to the law, Li Bing must go to jail. Are you sure you want to sue? The county's TV station will record it and some tabloids will report it. Actually, very few women are willing to sue. The policewoman, Ning Shu, asked. This was originally a case where the public didn't report it to the authorities. Ning Shu nodded. Of course I want to sue. I must sue. So what if the whole world knows that I was raped? In the end, I will let those rapists see the consequences of rape. Okay then. The policewoman patted Ning Shu's shoulder. Ning Shu took out a recording pen. When we are in court later, find a suitable opportunity to give this to the judge. The policewoman turned on the recording pen and listened to the recorded words. Then she looked at Ning Shu silently. You are really suffering. Those people are also quite shameless. Ning Shu arrived at the court and found the public gallery to sit down. Li Bing's mom had arrived at the court a long time ago. When she saw Ning Shu, she quickly sat beside Ning Shu. Daughter-in-law, later you will say that you were willing to do it. You are a couple. Do you understand? Ning Shu, I don't know. Li Bing's mom saw that Ning Shu didn't say anything. After Ning Shu agreed, she returned to her seat in satisfaction. The court hearing began. Li Bing was brought out. His hands were handcuffed, his hair was shaved, and he was wearing a prisoner's vest. Li Bing, who had shaved his head, looked even uglier. The judge read out Li Bing's crime. Li Bing was agitated and denied it. I didn't rape her. Wang Ying and I are a couple. We are dating. Li Bing was very afraid of going to jail. Moreover, he had seen his mother in the morning. His mother had told him with certainty that Wang Ying had agreed to settle it privately. So what he had to do now was to deny it. He had to deny that rape was a crime. Victim, please step forward. The judge called out to Ning Shu. Ning Shu quickly stood up. Everyone stared at Ning Shu. Ning Shu stood up with his head held high and his chest puffed out. He turned a blind eye to the strange gazes of these people. Are you a couple with the suspect? Judge Ning Shu asked. Li Bing and Li Bing's mom looked at Ning Shu expectantly. As long as Ning Shu said something, this matter would be resolved satisfactorily. Ning Shu gently curved the corners of his mouth. He lowered his head and shook his head. We are not a couple. We are not dating. It's me. The surveillance video and recording pen in the supermarket can prove it. At this moment, someone handed the recording pen to the judge. The judge played the recording pen. Immediately, Li Bing's mom's fierce and sharp voice could be heard. Many people present covered their mouths and laughed. Li Bing's mom was so embarrassed that her face turned red. She couldn't help but scold Ning Shu, "You bitch, you even recorded it." Chapter 1520. Li Bing's mom's threats to Ning Shu were all recorded. Ning Shu said, I'm the victim. Why is the perpetrator so arrogant? The judge was speechless. He repeatedly asked Ning Shu if he wanted to sue. Ning Shu insisted that he wanted to sue. Finally, the judge read the verdict. Li Bing's face was pale. He looked at Ning Shu fiercely. Ning Shu did not move. According to Article 236, Li Bing raped Wang Ying by violence, coercion, or other means. The verdict is as follows. Li Bing is sentenced to 5 years in prison. Ning Shu's expression was cold. He said, I don't agree with this verdict. Li Bing also said anxiously, I don't agree either. The judge first asked Li Bing, what do you have to disagree with? The evidence is conclusive. I'm innocent. Li Bing felt that he was going to be imprisoned for 5 years. It was too fucking wrong. The judge looked at Ning Shu. What do you have to say? Why only 5 years? I'm under all the pressure. I'm afraid there aren't many cases like this in this court. Because women will hide when they are hurt. More women hide and cry. The cost of a man's crime is so small. Shouldn't the judge increase the sentence? Kill the chicken to warn the monkey. I almost bet my whole life, but I only got 5 years in exchange. And the suspect Li Bing's attitude is not good. He has been stubbornly resisting and even threatening me. When Li Bing is released from prison, he will seek revenge on me. Maybe next time I won't be able to speak and will be a corpse. Your Honor, everyone is equal before the law. But because I'm a woman who was raped, the law won't protect me? I don't represent myself alone. I represent all the women who have been hurt and can't start anew. Should we bear such hurt? Are we going to be bullied by men in the future, and then silently endure the ridicule of others? We are also citizens of this country. We women are also human beings. I just want to enjoy basic human rights. Your Honor and the jury, please reconsider. Ning Shu, the policewoman in the audience, gave him a thumbs up. The judge, his head hurt. If you're not satisfied with the result, you can continue to appeal. Ning Shu nodded. Thank you, Your Honor. Since this is the verdict from the county, I will go to the city. If the city doesn't agree, I will go to the province. Ning Shu shrugged. Since my life has been ruined, I'll just devote all my energy to the appeal. There was no end to life, no end to appeals. The judge, fuck. Ning Shu counted on his fingers and said, Your Honor, you may not know this, but in this county alone, there are many women who have been raped, and they all silently swallow their anger. Also, you might not know, but a woman was drowned in the lake. Let's use Li Bing as a powerful deterrent and let everyone see. Bitch, it's your honor that I'm here for you. Li Bing and Ning Shu rushed over. Ning Shu was so scared that his face turned pale. He looked terrified and panicked. The courtroom was in chaos. Immediately, a guard restrained Li Bing. Li Bing stretched out his leg to kick Ning Shu. His eyes were red. Obviously, he was angered by Ning Shu. Ning Shu lowered his head and said in a nasal voice, Your Honor, do you have a daughter? I hope that your female relatives and friends will never have to experience this because it's really, really painful. The rumors come in waves. My parents think that I'm embarrassing the family because of this. Everyone around me is looking at me strangely. I'm the one who was hurt. I just want the bad guy to get the punishment he deserves. The judge, what an unruly citizen. He was saying pitiful words. He was obviously threatening him. The judge knocked on the gavel. The second trial begins. In view of the suspect's attitude and the vile circumstances of the crime, he will be sentenced to 8 years in prison. His performance will be judged in the future. It was good enough that he could get 3 more years. Li Bing was so angry that he went crazy. He screamed and kept scolding Ning Shu. 8 years in prison. If Li Bing didn't perform well in prison, he could get an additional sentence. 8 years was the basic sentence. When Li Bing's mother heard the sentence, she was so angry that she almost fell to the ground. The years. Ning Shu walked in front of Li Bing and said, Li Bing, I hope you can reflect on yourself in prison. As Ning Shu spoke, he sent a stream of energy towards Li Bing's crotch. Damn woman, shameless woman. You'll die a horrible death. I won't let you go. Li Bing shouted at Ning Shu fiercely. Even though he was driven away, he still turned around and cursed Ning Shu. Ning Shu lowered his head. Curse all you want. I'm not the one who's going to prison. You'll never get out of prison. Do you really think she's willing to show her face in public like this? Ning Shu walked out of the court and let out a heavy breath. The policewoman said, I didn't expect you to be so good at talking. Ning Shu said with a trembling voice, I made a lot of drafts in advance. These are all memorized by me. That's not bad. You're right about one thing. Like you, many women have been hurt. But the public opinion of society is too harsh on women. No woman is willing to stand up. In fact, standing up is to protect yourself. The growth of crime is condoned. The role of the law is to regulate society. You know that killing is wrong, but there are still people who are killed. Then the role of the law appears. If you can't make the rules, you have to follow the rules. Ning Shu muttered. Just like the mission enforcers, they have to follow the rules set by the higher-ups. If you don't have the strength to challenge the rules, you'll only be waiting for destruction. You bitch. Li Bing's mom pointed at Ning Shu, her whole body trembling like a sieve. Ning Shu said gently, Grandma Li, you're old. Don't be too agitated. It's easy to have a stroke. Then Li Bing's mom's body trembled even more. She was angry. Li Bing's mom sat on the ground and slapped her hands. God is blind. He's bullying an orphan and a widow. God, here it comes again. It's the logic of the weak being reasonable. So what if she's an orphan and a widow? She can do whatever she wants. Others should give in to her. I'm innocent. Li Bing's mom cried with tears and snot. She slandered Ning Shu as a prostitute. There were many, many men. Ning Shu seduced her son. Ning Shu turned around and left, turning a blind eye to this. She didn't want to be entangled with this kind of person. She was always thinking of ways to pull others to the same level. The biggest thing in life was to prove that others were swindlers. Before she left, she would teach this old woman a lesson. She would let her accumulate virtue. If there really was hell, if there really was a punishment of tongue pulling, Li Bing's mom would suffer the pain of having her tongue pulled out for hundreds of years. Stupid, ignorant, and pestering endlessly. Chapter 1521. After the trial ended, Ning Shu took the car home. Ning Shu was not worried that Li Bing would suddenly be released, because Li Bing had no money, no power, and no connections. He should just stay in prison. Ning Shu sent Li Bing to prison in a roundabout way just to let Li Bing fall into the hands of others. He couldn't have anything to do with her, let alone the Wang family. Although the Wang family's parents didn't treat Wang Ying well, they raised Wang Ying. Li Bing must have resentment and revenge after being released from prison for 8 years. If she left, Li Bing would definitely take revenge on the client's family. After leaving, she wouldn't contact the Wang family's parents again. As for what the client thought, it was their business. After a bumpy ride, they finally returned home. Wang Ying's mother was sitting on the threshold knitting a sweater. When she saw Ning Shu, she quickly stood up and asked, "Has Li Bing been released?" "Locked up for 8 years. Wang Ying's mother was stunned. "What did you say? You can lock someone up for 8 years? You are going to marry Li Bing. You can lock him up for 8 years? Wang Ying's mother looked at Ning Shu incredulously. "I never knew you were such a cruel person," Wang Ying's mother said. Ning Shu spread his hands and said, "Mom, there are many things you don't know. I'll see what you can do for 8 years. This matter hasn't been resolved yet." Wang Ying's mother was a little afraid of Li Bing's revenge. Locked up for 8 years. No matter what, you are going to marry Li Bing. Wang Ying's mother was too lazy to care about Ning Shu. She picked up the wool and the unfinished sweater. The sweater was light blue. She was probably knitting a sweater for Wang Chao. Ning Shu suddenly felt relieved. Everyone's heart was biased. Wang Ying's mother would love whoever she liked. There was no point in being calculative. Ning Shu turned around and prepared to go up the mountain to look for herbs. These herbs were useful. Ning Shu ran all over the mountain and found some fresh herbs. He put them in the cloth bag and was lucky enough to find a ginseng. This place was still considered beautiful, but in modern times, no industrial pollution meant poverty. This place was indeed quite poor. Ning Shu stuck his butt out and dug at the ginseng, but the roots were not damaged at all. She returned home with a full harvest, but there were a lot of people crowding around her door. Her house had become a stage, and every once in a while, there would be a big play. There was also Li Bing's mom's shrill voice, as well as all sorts of, "Fuck the heavens, fuck the earth, fuck the air." The door was closed. Obviously, the whole family was hiding in the house again. Ning Shu finally understood why the client was so weak. It turned out that everyone in the family was so weak. It was obvious that the client was in the wrong, but they didn't dare to say a word. Moreover, Li Bing's mother was an old woman in her 60s. How powerful could she be? She probably got a bad reputation of bullying others with numbers. Why was life so tiring? Someone nagged in your ear every day that it was better to have less trouble. This idea had been instilled in you all the time. How could you not be weak? Even if you married a rapist, it was just a matter of a word from your parents. Plus, you were pregnant. Ning Shu walked over slowly. When Li Bing's mother saw Ning Shu, she immediately shouted, "Everyone, come and judge. How can there be such a cruel woman in the world?" She sent her man to the prison. The onlookers all pointed at Ning Shu and whispered to each other. Ning Shu's hearing was good. He heard some people say that she didn't know what was good for her. It was clearly the best of both worlds, but she had to make things so awkward. There were also people who said that Ning Shu was cruel. In short, he didn't look like a woman at all. Ning Shu glanced at these people and memorized their faces. Those who met Ning Shu's eyes couldn't help but look away to avoid meeting Ning Shu's eyes. How bored must one be to build one's happiness on other people's pain? Therefore, people shouldn't care too much about other people's opinions and words. You can't care what others say. Whether you live well or not, it's none of their business. Even if it's stormy, I won't move. You only know how to use words to attack. Tell me to die. If you have the ability, come and kill me. Li Bing's mother was pestering endlessly. Ning Shu walked over and whispered in her ear, "I'll let your son sit in prison for a long time." Li Bing's mother was so angry that her whole body trembled. She scolded Ning Shu for being a black bitch, a bitch that no man would want. Ning Shu was very calm. These things couldn't attack her at all. No man would want her. Ning Shu patted her chest. She was scared to death. Li Bing's mother sat on the ground, kicking her legs and shrinking her feet. It was boring to use the same trick over and over again. Ning Shu opened the door and went into the house. The house was filled with smoke. It was all Wang Ying's father's smoke. It was very choking. Wang Ying's mother was knitting a sweater with a sad face. However, she didn't knit for a long time. When she saw Ning Shu, she didn't scold her like before. Li Bing was in prison. Wang Ying's mother also knew that she couldn't control her daughter at all. Moreover, her daughter was very cold. Wang Ying's mother almost didn't recognize her daughter. After this incident, her daughter became like this. Their relationship now became very indifferent. Except for the blood relationship, they were like strangers. Wang Ying's father smoked. His eyelids were drooping and he didn't say a word. Ning Shu called for his parents and went into his room. Ning Shu took out the herbs he picked from the mountain and a pinky-sized ginseng. The ginseng that didn't lose its moisture looked quite big. However, once it dried, it didn't look big. Ning Shu put the ginseng near the window and covered it with a cloth. After that, Ning Shu dealt with the herbs he brought back. He found an iron mortar and put the herbs in it. The fresh herbs were pounded into a green juice. Ning Shu weighed the herbs and then added them into the mortar. After that, Ning Shu covered his hands with a plastic bag. He grabbed the herbs and squeezed them hard. The herbal juice dripped into the glass bottle. Ning Shu closed the lid. The loud scolding outside continued. Li Bing's mother scolded tirelessly and threatened Ning Shu. If he didn't get her son out of trouble, she would come here every day to make trouble. You've made your whole family restless and come to make trouble every day. Ning Shu's face was cold. Let's see how long you can make trouble. These people didn't have any sense in their hearts. Let's see how long you can make trouble. Li Bing's mother kept scolding at the door, so the family couldn't go out. After the sky turned dark, Li Bing's mother felt tired and hungry. She said she would come again tomorrow and left. After Li Bing's mother left, the Wang family heaved a sigh of relief. After this incident, Wang Chao didn't go to class. He hid in his room and played games. Even his meals were brought to him by Wang Ying's mother. Ning Shu just snorted. Was Wang Chao paralyzed? He was already an adult, but he still had to bring food to his mouth. Ning Shu didn't even have to think about it. The Wang family's old life could be described as miserable. They raised an enemy to torture themselves. Chapter 1522. Wang Chao was spoiled like a piece of trash, and he was selfish. He was impatient with his family and would start quarreling whenever he was unhappy. Moreover, he was selfish. The client treated this younger brother well. Wang Ying would buy him pens and basketballs whenever she had money. But now that something had happened to his sister, he didn't see anyone stand up for his sister. There wasn't even a word of consolation. Evil people would be dealt with by evil people. The Wang couple weren't evil people, but some things had a cause and effect. Today, everyone turned a blind eye to her. In the future, Wang Chao would also turn a blind eye to the old couple. For words, a piece of trash. In the middle of the night, Ning Shu put the glass bottle in his pocket, found a piece of white cloth, took out the embroidery needle, and went to Li Bing's house. Did he really think that she was a person who wouldn't fight back when scolded or hit? Perhaps the client's personality was soft, but she wasn't. Ning Shu was not only thick-skinned now, but his heart was also hard. It was the middle of the night, and the whole village was silent. None of the houses had their lights on. Moreover, there was no moonlight at night. It was so dark that one couldn't even see their fingers. Ning Shu reached out and grabbed the chicken in the chicken coop. He directly twisted the chicken's neck, and blood spurted out. Ning Shu smeared the blood on his face. With a sheet on his body and a face full of blood, Ning Shu looked like a living ghost. Li Bing's house was a little far from here. Ning Shu planned to have some fun on the way. Ning Shu's mind flashed with the faces of some people, and he conveniently went to these houses to take a look. Since they were so superstitious, he would scare them to death. The toilets in the village were all outside the house. Some people would go to the door to use the toilet in the middle of the night. Because it was dark and there was a vegetable garden in front of the house, they directly began to pee. Every time Ning Shu passed by a house, he would float to the window. Sometimes he would knock on the window or something to make some noise. He even let out a sinister laugh. Ning Shu saw a woman squatting in front of her house, peeing. He mobilized the qi in his dantian and floated to her side. Ning Shu kicked the woman's body. The woman muttered, "Stop it." Ning Shu kicked her again, and the woman was annoyed. She turned around and saw Ning Shu floating in the air. Her scream was stuck in her throat, and she couldn't make a sound. Ning Shu moved his blood-smeared face closer to her. The woman made a gurgling sound, rolled her eyes, and fainted. Ning Shu floated away after one of them fainted. Then he scared a few more men. Ning Shu decided to let the kids go for the time being. Especially those gossipy women, Ning Shu paid special attention to them. These vicious words were like a knife dipped in poison, stabbing into people's hearts. These people spoke happily, but some people couldn't take it. For example, Wang Ying drank the pesticide directly. Even if Wang Ying was dead, these people would still point at her corpse and talk about it. They would talk about her life story. You were raped, and now you drink the pesticide. They would talk about it until their saliva flew everywhere. They wouldn't think that it was because of them that she committed suicide. The places Ning Shu floated past were in a mess, and there were dogs barking one after another. The silence of the night was broken. Ning Shu arrived at Li Bing's house. To be honest, Li Bing's house was really poor. The walls were made of mud, and the roof was actually thatched. It made Ning Shu think that it was the 70s or 80s. Li Bing's door was bolted. Ning Shu opened the door through the gap. Ning Shu's eyesight was very good. Even at night, Ning Shu could see very clearly. It was really a bare house. No wonder he was single until now. Moreover, he had such an unreasonable mother. Even if the girls' brains were kicked by a donkey, they wouldn't marry him. However, Li Bing's mom still thought that it was a great thing to let the client marry into their family. It was as if they were climbing up the social ladder. Wasn't it just that if the client was raped, no man would want the client? TSK, even if she didn't marry for the rest of her life, she wouldn't abuse herself with essential bomb. Ning Shu went to the bedroom. Li Bing's mom was sleeping on the bed. However, Ning Shu saw 2 pillows. One person needs 2 pillows? Ning Shu couldn't help but have a rather disgusting thought in his heart. Could it be that Li Bing was in his 40s, and he was still sleeping with his mother? However, maybe Li Bing's mom liked to sleep with 2 pillows? Ning Shu walked to the bedside. Li Bing's mom was snoring with her mouth open. Ning Shu opened the glass bottle and poured all the herbal juice in the bottle into her mouth. Li Bing's mom smacked her lips in her sleep and didn't wake up. Ning Shu gently lifted the thin quilt, took out an embroidery needle, and pricked Li Bing's mom's leg. When a person was old, they would definitely have some kind of arthritis. Although it wasn't a major problem, if it was serious, the bones would be deformed and the pain would be unbearable. If the meridians were blocked, the illness would become more and more serious. After pricking the needle, Li Bing's mom groaned twice. In the end, she didn't wake up. Ning Shu covered her with the thin quilt and pricked her hand. After doing these things, Ning Shu turned around and left, closing the door on the way. The previous haunted incident made the village a little restless. Ning Shu didn't put on the quilt anymore. Instead, he carried the quilt and flew home. Ning Shu washed the dried chicken blood off his face and quietly returned to his room. The next day, the topic of discussion in the village was no longer Ning Shu. Instead, it was the haunted incident last night. Many people who went out to pee fainted in fright. Those who shared the same bed woke up and found that the person next to them was not by their side. When they went out to look for him, they fainted on the ground. They didn't even pull up their pants. Anyway, they were so scared that they peed. Many people said that they saw it with their own eyes. They were floating and their feet didn't touch the ground. Wang Ying's mom woke up in the morning to feed the chickens. She saw a hen laying eggs without a head. Its body was lying naked in the chicken coop. Wang Ying's mom was about to explode with anger. She opened her mouth and was about to scold. Forget it. Don't make a fuss. Boil some water and boil the chicken feathers. Stew it. Wang Ying's dad said. Their family was already eye-catching. It wouldn't be good if they became a joke because of the chickens. Wang Ying's mom's face was ugly. She carried the naked chicken and boiled the water to pluck the feathers. At noon, there was an additional meat dish on the table. The chicken was very fresh and tender. From the start, Wang Chao went for the thigh with the most meat. Ning Shu took the chopsticks and patted Wang Chao's hand. A red mark immediately appeared on the back of Wang Chao's hand. Wang Ying, what are you doing? Wang Chao looked at Ning Shu angrily. Ning Shu grabbed 2 chicken legs. One for Wang Ying's mom and the other for Wang Ying's dad. You eat. Anyway, she left this time. She won't come back during her mission. The environment here was really depressing. Wang Ying's dad's expression was complicated. Don't give it to me. You eat. He said and gave the chicken leg to Ning Shu. Wang Ying's mom gave the chicken leg to her son. Wang Chao looked at Ning Shu triumphantly. Chapter 1523. After lunch, Li Bing's mom started to cause trouble again. She cursed loudly at the door, but her throat was a little uncomfortable today and her voice was a little hoarse. Moreover, her throat was very painful. Even swallowing her saliva hurt. Li Bing's mom thought that her throat was injured because she cursed too hard yesterday. However, when she thought of her son, she realized that only Wang Ying could save her son now. Why was Wang Ying, that bitch, so annoying? As long as she said that she was willing, her son would be fine. Li Bing's mom would pester them and make it difficult for them to live. Naturally, they would let her son go. However, Li Bing's mom's throat was uncomfortable, so she was powerless. She had to rest after cursing for a while. Otherwise, her throat would not be able to take it. Sometimes, she would go to the side to ask for a glass of water. However, there were obviously fewer onlookers today because everyone was scared by the ghost last night. Especially those who had seen the ghost last night, they were now hiding in their beds and shivering. Li Bing and Wang Ying's nonsense was already outdated. Many people felt that they should find a witch to exorcise the ghost. They did not know where the ghost was wandering in this village. They even agreed not to sleep at night. Everyone would gather together and see what the ghost was like. What the hell was it? Li Bing's mom was not in a good state today. After cursing for a while, she had to rest. Did the Wang family do what they were supposed to do? Li Bing's mom was furious. She shouted loudly, her voice leaking, Wang Ying, if you don't get my son out, I will die in front of your house. Li Bing's mom attracted many onlookers. This kind of desperate trick was the most attractive. Li Bing's mom saw so many people and was happy. She directly hit the wall. Some people were quick and pulled her, preventing Li Bing's mom from hitting the wall. Some people couldn't stand it anymore and said to Wang Ying's father, look at them. Li Bing is going to jail. Who will take care of his mother at such an old age? Old Wang, that's enough. If she really dies in your house, it's your family's responsibility. Besides, aren't Li Bing and Wang Ying about to get married? What's the point of making such a fuss? We're all from the same village. Why are you so ruthless? Don't go too far when doing things. That way, we'll be on good terms in the future. The discussion around them made Wang Ying's father's back hunch even more. He was speechless. Ning Shu looked at these people and felt that it was easy for them to talk. Each and every one of them was the representative of the true, kind, and beautiful. Each and every one of them was a pure white lotus. It seemed like she hadn't been scared out of her wits last night. Otherwise, how could she still have the time to care about other people's business and be generous with other people's money? I think you should do it. What right did he have to ask others to do anything if he had never felt the pain? What was wrong with this world? It was clearly the wrong side, but they were so arrogant. She was a woman who was raped. If Li Bing was the murderer, these people would stay far away from Li Bing's mom. Li Bing's mom saw that so many people were speaking up for her. She immediately sat on the ground and cried. However, her throat was leaking and her voice was very strange. It was sometimes high and sometimes low. It seemed that Li Bing's mom couldn't control her voice. Ning Shu counted silently in his heart. Soon, very soon. Wang Ying, what do you think about this? Wang Ying's father looked at Ning Shu. His face was very tired. He was an old and poor farmer with his back facing the sky. Wang Ying's father was obviously going to compromise. Ning Shu sighed in his heart and didn't say anything. Okay, I will take Wang Ying to the county's police station tomorrow. Can you stop making trouble? Wang Ying's mother said impatiently. Li Bing's mom trembled from the ground and immediately said, "This is what you said. If you don't go back on your words, I will come to your house to make trouble." This matter was resolved and the surrounding people also dispersed. Ning Shu's face was cold. Wang Ying's mother looked at Ning Shu cautiously. You see, there is no point in making trouble like this. Why don't you let Li Bing out? Then I will marry Li Bing, right? Ning Shu turned and went into the house and closed the door. It was said that a mother was strong, but Wang Ying's mother never said anything. Ning Shu was a little suspicious that the person who entrusted the marriage was not the Wang couple's child. Their daughter was wronged, but she still compromised. Yes, she was definitely not their biological daughter. See, only by being strong oneself is the foundation. Good things in the world are not firm. Colorful clouds scatter easily. Love is the most beautiful thing in the world, but it can't stand up to torture. At night, Ning Shu went door to door to visit these people. Ning Shu made his face look extremely ferocious. Ning Shu used the fiery sun energy in his body and floated in the air. A few more people fainted from fright. Although these people were in a group, there were other people in the house. Ning Shu used the Qi gene in his body and used his hand to press a child's footprint on the glass. Ning Shu's hand left a mark on the glass, and this mark will always be there. Some were pressed on the door, some were pressed on the ground. Moreover, the size was different, making it very messy, making people feel that there was more than one person. Ning Shu didn't leave his own footprint. If he left it, when people track it down, the size of his footprint would match hers. This was shooting himself in the foot. Ning Shu wanted to turn this place into a bomb. After that, Ning Shu went to Li Bing's house and gave Li Bing's mom an injection. He also left a footprint on the door of his house. After doing these things, Ning Shu returned home. Li Bing should have news by now. It's been a long time. It was almost dawn. After a busy night, Ning Shu stretched and lay on the bed to take a nap. What he did yesterday would cause an uproar in the village. It's easy for you to talk while standing. At dawn, the atmosphere in the village was strange. Someone quickly went to invite the witch. It was really too scary. To leave footprints on the door and the glass, and they were the footprints of a child. Looking at the footprints, the youngest one was less than a year old. There were also messy footprints. It was really scary. When the witch saw this situation, she was dumbfounded. This witch was so mysterious, but she just wanted to scam people for food. Seeing this situation, she couldn't help but have goosebumps. Could it be that there were really ghosts in this village? The villagers asked the witch what was going on, where the ghosts came from, and why did they come to their village. The witch was speechless. Who the hell knew what was going on? The witch shook her head crazily and jumped around for a while, as if she was having epilepsy. The bells on her body jingled as she mumbled something under her breath. In the end, the witch came to the conclusion that it was a group of ghosts that ran out. All she needed to do was burn some paper for them. Every family in the village had to burn paper for 7 days. Then, the witch took the money that the villagers gathered and ran away in a hurry, as if there was a malicious ghost chasing after her. Chapter 1524. With such a thing happening in the village, everyone was terrified. They did whatever the witch told them to do. Li Bing's mom didn't come to scold them today. First, she was terrified because there were footprints on her door. The older she got, the more superstitious she became. First, she felt that her body was very heavy. Her hands and feet were uncomfortable. It seemed that her rheumatism was acting up. Generally speaking, this disease only hurt when it was cloudy or rainy. Second, her throat hurt so much that it was difficult for her to speak. Li Bing's mom felt that she might be under the pressure of a ghost. Her son was not by her side. It was as if she had lost her backbone. Li Bing's mom hurried to find the witch. The witch took the money and gave her a bowl of talisman water. At night, the whole village was covered in thick smoke. People were burning joss paper on every road. Many people were kowtowing in all directions and muttering. Not every family in the village had footprints, but when they saw that everyone was doing it, they also burned joss paper. Wang Ying's dad also took a bundle of yellow paper and burned it on the road outside the house. Wang Ying's mom called Wang Chao into the house to burn joss paper with her. Wang Chao impatiently said that he was not free. Ning Shu shrugged her shoulders guiltily. What a big fuss. Ning Shu was too lazy to pretend to be a ghost to scare people. She heard that several people in the village had fallen ill from fright. Even without Ning Shu's harassment, the villagers were still nervous. They burned joss paper every night for 7 days. Ning Shu felt that it was time for her to leave. She had some money on hand. It was enough for her to buy a bus ticket and live for a while. When she reached the city, she could live no matter what. If she didn't have a place to live, she could live under a bridge. She could shelter herself from the wind and rain anywhere. Besides, she still had a ginseng. Now the ginseng was beginning to dry. Ning Shu protected it well and didn't let the skin break. The roots gathered together. Now she just had to wait for news from the police station. This was not as simple as going to jail. It was too easy. Li Bing's mom saw that Ning Shu's family didn't keep their word, so she went to Ning Shu's house to make trouble. But this time, Li Bing's mom couldn't scold her again. Her voice was already very hoarse, and it was very difficult for her to speak. Sometimes, she would swallow her own saliva and the pain would cause her tears to fall. Eating and drinking was extremely painful. Li Bing's mom was not feeling well and could not speak, but she insisted for her son's sake. Her son was put in jail because of someone. Li Bing's mom pointed her finger at Ning Shu and said with great effort. It was basically impossible to hear what she was saying, only that she was shouting with all her might. Ning Shu tilted his face and put his ear close to Li Bing's mom. He asked, "What are you talking about? I can't hear anything." "Grandma Li, are you possessed by a ghost? Why can't you even speak?" When the surrounding people heard this, they immediately moved away from Li Bing's mom. Li Bing's mom was agitated, and her face was red. She spoke loudly, but her voice was too hoarse, and the syllables were unclear. It was difficult to hear what she was saying. "Bye." Li Bing's mom shouted hoarsely. Tears came out of her eyes, and her throat was so painful that it was about to explode. Ning Shu's expression did not change. He said loudly, "Grandma Li, what are you talking about?" Li Bing's mom was so angry that she hit her head against the wall. Last time, someone pulled her, but something so strange happened before. Li Bing's mom was like this, and she couldn't even speak. It was as if she was possessed by a ghost. No one dared to pull her. Ning Shu grabbed Li Bing's mom. He had never seen such an arrogant blackmailer. Li Bing's mom was so arrogant because the Wang family did not resist once. If the Wang family had taken the initiative, they would not have fallen to this point. He was being held hostage by a shameless old woman. It was not that the longer one lived, the more one understood. Some people became more and more muddle-headed as they lived, and their age was fed to the dogs. Li Bing's mom's clothes were grabbed by Ning Shu. She could not move, and she could not break free. She was so angry that she hissed. Li Bing's mom had a lot to say, but she could not say a word. She sat on the ground and clapped her hands on the ground. Tears came out of her eyes. Ning Shu's heart did not waver. The person who asked her for help had been tortured by her. Li Bing's mom's mouth was the sharpest weapon in the world. Every word stabbed at people's hearts. It was as if she had a deep hatred for her. Now she could not say a word. In the future, she could not run to her house to blackmail her. At this time, the sound of sirens came from the entrance of the village. Why would the police come at this time? Ning Shu raised the corner of his mouth. They finally came. Li Bing's mom, who was sitting on the ground crying, heard the sirens. She got up from the ground and looked at Ning Shu hesitantly. Ning Shu was also at a loss. Everyone hurried to the entrance of the village. Behind the police car was an ambulance. 2 policemen got out of the police car and asked, "Is Li Bing's family here?" Li Bing's mom quickly walked over and said for a long time in a hoarse voice. In the end, the uncle who served tea was confused and said in a businesslike manner, "You are Li Bing's family, right?" The people around said, "She is Li Bing's mother." The uncle said, "That's good. Li Bing had some problems in prison. He is now dead." There was an uproar. Li Bing's mom was at a loss at first. She did not seem to react. Until Li Bing's body was pushed out of the ambulance and in front of her. She saw her son's face. His face was ashen. His eyes were tightly closed and there was frost on his face. It was obvious that he had been pulled out of the freezer. Li Bing's mom's eyes widened. There was a gurgling sound in her throat. Her eyes rolled back and she fainted. Li Bing's mom could not accept her son's sudden death. Her backbone was gone. When Li Bing's mom fainted, there was no one to take care of the body. The uncle who served tea was speechless. Under the guidance of the villagers, they carried Li Bing's body to Li Bing's house. Then, they carried the unconscious Li Bing's mom back. Everyone felt that it was very sudden. They did not understand why Wang Chao suddenly died. Was prison that scary? After placing Li Bing's body in the hall, the police went to the village chief to explain the situation. What was the specific situation? Li Bing's cause of death was hemorrhage. As for why, it was a bit strange. It was because Li Bing's indescribable erection continued. His corpus cavernosum continued to be engorged. At first, the symptoms were not obvious. Later, it became harder and harder. Even his pants were erect. The person who was locked up with Li Bing deliberately poked Li Bing's indescribable erection. He laughed and said, as expected of a rapist, "You have some capital." Li Bing thought that it would slowly disappear. However, the indescribable erection was getting more and more painful. It was like a stone. He could not even pee. It was about to explode. It was originally a very shameful thing. Li Bing had no choice but to go to the higher-ups and explain his situation. Li Bing was transferred to the hospital. The doctor first gave Li Bing a blood test. Generally speaking, this kind of continuous engorgement was caused by eating a lot of stimulants, such as Viagra. Chapter 1525. Li Bing held on like this. When he arrived at the hospital, the doctor did a blood test and found nothing abnormal. However, Li Bing's indescribable part continued to be filled with blood. The situation was getting worse and there were no signs of it dissipating. It was swollen and bruised. It was as if he was high on drugs, but there was nothing abnormal in the blood. Even the doctor didn't understand what was going on. Li Bing was in unbearable pain. He felt like he was going to explode. He was like a balloon that had been blown to the extreme. His skin and flesh felt like it was going to burst. The doctor couldn't find the reason. After all, there were many strange things in this world. However, if this continued, Li Bing would die. Moreover, the sponge in that part would die because of the continuous congestion. It would be life-threatening. The doctor discussed cutting off his lower part and telling Li Bing the results of the study. Li Bing was stunned when he heard this. Cutting off his little brother? Exercise? The doctor explained all the pros and cons to Li Bing, but no man wanted to cut off his little brother. Besides peeing, it was also related to a man's dignity. Li Bing didn't want to become a modern version of a eunuch. Li Bing didn't agree anyway. Although it was painful, he could feel the existence of his little brother. Li Bing felt even more annoyed. If Li Bing didn't agree to the surgery, the hospital wouldn't force it. Li Bing endured it, hoping that this situation could be cured without medication. However, the situation didn't go as Li Bing expected. Instead, it was getting worse. First, the indescribable part was extremely uncomfortable. Now, even his balls were swollen. His lower body was beginning to inflame. If this continued, he would really die. Li Bing could only agree to the surgery. Li Bing still had to get out of prison to find trouble with Ning Shu. All of this was brought to him by that woman. Li Bing mourned his little brother in his heart. He even cried on the operating table. However, things didn't go in a good direction. His little brother was cut off along with his balls, but the bleeding didn't stop. Moreover, the bleeding kept increasing. It seemed like it couldn't be stopped. Even a blood transfusion couldn't control the amount of bleeding. Li Bing died of shock due to excessive blood loss. The police explained the situation to the village chief. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. Was he dead? Ning Shu laughed out loud. He bent over and laughed until tears came out of his eyes. Everyone looked at Ning Shu. This is the justice of the heavens. Let's see who the heavens will spare. Ning Shu's voice was gloomy and carried an indescribable gloominess. Some people couldn't help but rub their arms as goosebumps appeared on their arms. Ning Shu thought that it was very fun to scare people like this. This was Ning Shu's purpose. Li Bing's death had nothing to do with her. If it were to fall into the hands of others, even Li Bing's mom would not be able to achieve anything. Besides, Li Bing's mom wouldn't be able to say it again. He was doing her a favor. The Wang family swept away their previous decadent appearance. Li Bing's death meant that no one would come to take revenge on them in the future. Although it was a matter of life and death, the Wang family was still secretly happy that this invisible bomb was gone. Li Bing's mom, who had fainted, woke up. When she saw the corpse in the hall, she opened her mouth to cry, but no sound came out. The people around her advised her to take it easy. Li Bing's mom couldn't speak. The villagers just thought that she was too shocked. That was why she lost her voice. Li Bing's mom gritted her teeth and wanted to find trouble with Ning Shu. Many people advised her to arrange her son's funeral first. Li Bing's mom lost her son and was terrified. She didn't know what to do. The villagers helped to bury Li Bing hastily. Li Bing's mom couldn't say a word from the beginning to the end. She couldn't even communicate with people. She was not as eloquent as before. Perhaps the blow was too big. Li Bing's mom's health was not as good as before. The rheumatism in her hands and feet was serious. When the weather was bad, it hurt to walk 2 steps. Li Bing's mom ran to Ning Shu's house and made a fuss. She wanted Ning Shu to go to her house. Even if her son was dead, she wanted Ning Shu to go to her house to be a widow. They had agreed to get married. Most importantly, Li Bing's mom wanted to find someone to serve her. She couldn't imagine how she could live alone. However, after pointing for a long time, she didn't know what she wanted to say. They had seen this trick too many times. Even the onlookers didn't want to see it. Besides, Li Bing's mom couldn't speak at all. It was like watching a mime show. It was too boring. Ning Shu was too lazy to care about her. Let's see how long you can make a fuss. Ning Shu wrapped the dried ginseng in a cloth and put it in his bag. Then, he put it in his pocket and stuffed it under the bed. The villagers were still burning joss paper. It would take 7 days. At night, the smell of smoke wafted everywhere. The corners of Ning Shu's mouth curled up. She released an invisible force and blew away the paper that these people burned. Sparks flew everywhere. Encountering such a strange thing, many people jumped up and covered their ears and screamed. It was very chaotic. Screams and barks came one after another. It was too interesting. Every family was so scared that they hurriedly went into their houses and closed their doors. Wang Ying's dad shook his head and said, "The village is too strange this year." Wang Ying's mom was looking outside through the door. She touched her chest and said, "It is very strange." Wang Ying's mom looked frightened. "Do you want us to move out of this village?" Wang Chao's dad smoked. With their family's financial conditions, it was impossible for them to move. When the time came, they might not even have a place to live. Moreover, this was their hometown. Where would they move to? Wang Ying's dad sighed and kept smoking. He looked tired and old. Then let's move to the city. The schools in the city are better than our schools here. Wang Chao suggested excitedly. The outside world was incomparably attractive to boys. Wang Ying's dad looked serious. Your dad doesn't have the ability. You should give up. Ning Shu listened to the family's discussion and did not participate. She planned to leave late that night. There was no point in staying in this place. The people who needed to be dealt with had been dealt with. It was time to leave. In the middle of the night, the whole village was quiet. Ning Shu wrote a note and said that she was going out and there was no need to look for her. Ning Shu carried her bag and quietly went out. She walked to the town and got on the bus. In order to prevent the client from thinking too much, she had to distract herself and let her understand the meaning of her existence. If she had her own job or career and found the meaning of her existence, she might not care so much about being raped. There was no time to be sad. Ning Shu planned to go to the big city. There were many opportunities in the big city. She thought that with her skills, she could always live a peaceful life. As long as she wanted to live, she would definitely be able to live. Life could be tough or fragile. Chapter 1526. The bus wasn't moving fast, and there were still people boarding along the way. Ning Shu grabbed his bag. There was only a ginseng in the bag that was worth some money, and the bag was filled with clothes. As the bus moved, he felt that the people boarding the bus were different. The color of their clothes became brighter and brighter. Ning Shu was a country bumpkin. The style of her clothes was very old-fashioned, and she looked rustic from head to toe. It was obvious that she came from the countryside. The bus would stop at a rest stop to allow the passengers to relieve themselves and have some food. Ning Shu ordered a vegetarian dish and a bowl of white rice from the restaurant. However, it was so expensive that Ning Shu was speechless. Because of the geographical advantage, the food was very expensive. It was up to you to eat or not. When Ning Shu was eating, he felt that someone was sizing him up. Ning Shu opened his bag and put the ginseng in his pocket. She was probably being targeted by a thief. Ning Shu sneered in her heart. Was she going to put on a show of catching a thief later? Ning Shu moved his neck. The gaze was sizing him up. Ning Shu looked in the direction of the gaze. He saw a woman in her 40s. The woman was quite good-looking. When she met Ning Shu's gaze, she didn't avoid it. Instead, she smiled at Ning Shu. The woman took her bag and walked in front of Ning Shu. She sat down in the chair opposite Ning Shu. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. They didn't know each other. What was she doing? Ning Shu suspected that this woman was a human trafficker. She wanted to kidnap her and sell her to an old bachelor in the mountains. Ning Shu, my heart is so dark. Ning Shu looked at the woman like a country bumpkin and asked, Auntie, what's the matter? When the woman heard Ning Shu call her auntie, the corner of her mouth twitched and her expression changed. No woman wanted to hear the word old. However, the woman endured it in the end. She smiled and flipped her hair. A fragrance wafted from her body. Ning Shu leaned back. You can call me Sister Zhou. I run an agency. You must be a girl who just started working. An agency? Labor agency? Ning Shu shyly and obediently called out, Sister Zhou. With a smile on her face, Sister Zhou ordered a few more meat dishes for Ning Shu. You know what an agency is, right? Ning Shu looked at the dishes on the table and didn't stand on ceremony. He picked up his chopsticks and started eating. It would be a waste not to eat. One who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions. Moreover, Ning Shu was not afraid of what was in the dish. Her body could take it. When Sister Zhou saw that Ning Shu had eaten several plates of food, her eyes flashed with contempt. Ning Shu put down his chopsticks and said, Thank you for your hospitality. I'm leaving. Ning Shu carried his bag and walked out of the restaurant. The woman called Sister Zhou was stunned for a moment and quickly chased after Ning Shu. She actually met a rash person. Her food was so delicious. Little girl, don't go yet. Didn't I tell you that I'm an agency? I think it's suitable for you to go to our agency. Ning Shu stopped and asked with a look of ignorance and curiosity, "What kind of agency are you?" Sister Zhou said mysteriously, "I guarantee that you will make a lot of money." Ning Shu was surprised and sneered in his heart. There was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. Ning Shu quickly asked, "What kind of work is it?" "I'll tell you this on the way." "I'll go with you," Sister Zhou said and got into the car with Ning Shu. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. "She actually wants to go with me. Is she going to kidnap me?" "Ning Shu, I'm a country bumpkin. I'm easy to fool." Sister Zhou sat beside Ning Shu and talked to Ning Shu from time to time. She asked about Ning Shu's family situation and how old he was now. Ning Shu just said that he was 18 years old this year. The village was too poor, so he had to go to the big city to work. Sister Zhou's face flashed a satisfied look. Although he didn't look good, he had been doing farm work since he was young. His body was very strong. It didn't matter whether he was beautiful or not. The main thing was that his body was strong. Sister Zhou and Ning Shu talked a lot. She gave all the things in her branded bag to Ning Shu to eat. She even smiled and asked Ning Shu, "Guess how much my bag cost?" Ning Shu saw that the bag was made of real leather. The workmanship was quite exquisite. It should be a branded bag. But as a country bumpkin who had never seen the world, Ning Shu should know nothing about these things. "I don't know. 30,000. Wow, so much money." Ning Shu praised exaggeratedly. "Then do you know how much the ring on my hand costs?" "I don't know." "Do you know what brand my shoes are?" "I don't know." "Then do you know what brand the clothes I'm wearing are?" "I don't know." She didn't know anything. "Ning Shu, you're here to show off your wealth, right?" Sister Zhou saw Ning Shu's expression and was quite satisfied. "My clothes are worth more than 50,000. The necklaces, earrings, and small accessories are all branded goods." "Oh, so much money." Her heart was black. Did she think that just because she wore good clothes, she was wearing human skin? "Actually, you can afford these things," Sister Zhou said mysteriously. Finally, they were going to talk about the main topic. Listening to this woman flaunting her wealth, Ning Shu was numb. Ning Shu shook his head and said, "How can I afford such good things? I don't have money. I never knew that a piece of clothing cost thousands." "Of course you can. Don't worry about the job I introduced to you. The main thing is that the agency needs talents like you. Don't talk about branded goods, you can even buy a house in the city." Ning Shu, lie. "What job is it?" Ning Shu asked. "Surrogacy," Sister Zhou said softly. "What?" Ning Shu was speechless and shocked. Surrogacy was not legal. "You know what surrogacy is, right?" Sister Zhou asked Ning Shu. "Let me tell you, this is something that can only be done with connections." "Ning Shu, are you bullying me for being a country bumpkin?" Ning Shu was honest. His face was black and red. "Is it giving birth?" "Yes, it is giving birth," Sister Zhou said softly. "This is not good. My parents will kill me if they know. I am a girl, and my parents say that I must respect myself." Ning Shu shook his head and said, "Why are you so stubborn? This is such a good thing and you want to reject it. Do you think that everyone is qualified to be a surrogate mother? Our agency only takes orders from rich people and foreigners. We only need to borrow your belly. You don't have to do anything. Someone will take good care of you. There will be nutrition fees and surrogacy fees. You don't have to do anything and you can earn money. When the child is born, the parents will take the child away. You can get tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of surrogacy fees." Sister Zhou smiled at Ning Shu. Chapter 1527. Ning Shu thought she was a human trafficker. She didn't expect that she was a surrogacy agency. She probably wanted to trick her into being a surrogate mother. Without a doubt, this kind of surrogacy agency was illegal. Think about it. If you don't agree, I can only find someone else. If you are a surrogate mother for a rich man, you can live a good life with a little money. Sister Zhou took a step back in order to advance. She didn't force Ning Shu to go to the surrogacy agency anymore. Instead, she acted like she didn't care if Ning Shu went or not. She could scare the young girls who had just entered society, but it was useless to Ning Shu. Ning Shu didn't look at Sister Zhou. Now Sister Zhou was like a big bad wolf wagging its tail. There was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. If you wanted to take advantage of her, you would suffer a big loss. Since the birth of human beings, they had always used precious things as currency. It had always been an equivalent exchange. Maybe surrogacy was valuable, but she didn't know what the channels were. She wasn't sure if the money would end up in her hands. Besides, surrogacy was illegal in the first place. I will get off at the next stop. If you think about it, you can go with me. If you don't, you can take it, Sister Zhou said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu was a little hesitant. Finally, she said, "Well, I will do this job. I need to earn money to support my family." "Where's the next stop?" Ning Shu asked confusedly. "Are we in the provincial capital?" Ning Shu said to Sister Zhou, "Can I use your mobile phone?" "What do you need a mobile phone for?" Sister Zhou looked at Ning Shu. "Do you know how to use a mobile phone?" Ning Shu looked like a bumpkin. He knew how to use a mobile phone. Ning Shu smiled and said, "Someone in my village has a mobile phone. I borrow it occasionally, so I know how to use it." I called my family and told them I found a job. Ning Shu used the map to find the nearest police station, checked the phone number, and called. When the call was connected, Ning Shu said in a cheerful voice, "Mom, I found a job. It was recommended by someone I met at the station." "Oh, you're asking about my job?" "Actually, it's a surrogate pregnancy." "No, I'm not the one giving birth. It's the rich people who don't want to have children and are borrowing my belly. Don't worry, there won't be any problems." "Oh, I'm getting off now. I'm hanging up. I'm about to enter the city now. I'm about to alight. Don't worry, I'll definitely work hard to earn money. I heard that surrogacy can earn tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars." "Okay, I'm hanging up. I'm using the phone of the big sister next to me. She's the one who introduced me to this job." Ning Shu chattered on. Finally, he hung up the phone and passed it to Sister Zhou. "Thank you." Sister Zhou was a little surprised and asked, "Your parents agreed to this?" "Actually, in my hometown, boys are more important than girls. As long as I can earn money, my parents won't say anything." Ning Shu asked shyly, "Can I really earn so much money?" Big Sister Zhou looked at Ning Shu's current appearance. She was a money grubber and greedy person. She smiled and said, "Of course you can make so much money." Ning Shu heaved a sigh of relief. "That's good." She didn't know if the other party understood what she was saying when she called the police. They should be able to understand. Surrogacy was still illegal. It was unimaginable that surrogacy would be legal one day. You might be dragged to be a surrogate when you walk on the streets. Especially those black-hearted agencies. The bus was driving on the highway. Ning Shu pestered Sister Zhou to ask a lot of questions about agencies. She was like a young lady who wanted to familiarize herself with her job. She was a little uneasy, but she was also looking forward to it. Ning Shu asked how many girls were working as surrogate mothers and how much money they could earn after surrogacy. However, he was worried that giving birth would be very painful. In short, he was very long-winded. Previously, Sister Zhou had answered Ning Shu. However, after Ning Shu asked too many questions, she became a little impatient. She told him that he would be there when they arrived. Anyway, he ate well and slept well. His life was very good. Ning Shu ate Sister Zhou's snacks. Dried beef, potato chips, and the like. He chewed them with a kacha sound. Occasionally, some crumbs would fall on Sister Zhou. She quickly patted the crumbs off her body. Everything on her was good. Sister Zhou glanced at Ning Shu, who was eating and looking around. She couldn't help but twitch the corner of her mouth in disdain. He was indeed a bumpkin from the countryside. He had no manners at all. If it wasn't for the sake of money, she wouldn't have bothered with him. Ning Shu burped and patted his stomach. He said with satisfaction, "I'm so full. Sister Zhou, your food is so delicious." Sister Zhou suppressed the disgust in her heart and said with a smile, "There's more. Do you want to eat?" Ning Shu waved his hand. "I'm full now. Can you give me the snacks?" "I'll eat them later." "Sister Zhou, She had never seen such a shameless person. Not only did he eat, but he also wanted to put it in his pocket. No wonder he agreed to be a surrogate. He was really crazy about money. His parents were also strange. Sister Zhou forced a smile and took out a bag of things. Ning Shu quickly took the bag and stuffed the plastic bag into his bag. Sister Zhou, if he ate her food, he would have to spit it out. I'll sleep for a while. I'll be sleepy after eating. Wake me up when we're at the station, Ning Shu said and closed his eyes. Although Ning Shu closed his eyes, he used his mental strength to observe the situation on the bus. Sister Zhou's expression was ugly. Since Ning Shu closed his eyes, she couldn't be bothered to pretend. Her face flashed with a cold smile. Hey, wake up. We're at the station. Sister Zhou pushed Ning Shu. Ning Shu sleepily opened his eyes and rubbed his eyes. We're here so soon. Let's get off. Ning Shu carried his bag and followed behind Sister Zhou. After getting off the bus, he saw people coming and going at the station. He didn't know if the police had arrived. Ning Shu carried a big bag in one hand and grabbed Sister Zhou's clothes with the other. He said in an exaggerated voice, "Wow, Sister Zhou, this is the city. There are so many people." Ning Shu's voice attracted the attention of many people. In addition, Ning Shu was carrying a rustic bag and wearing rustic clothes. It attracted many people's sneers. Sister Zhou was speechless. She wished she didn't know such an embarrassing person. A few people came over to Ning Shu. Ning Shu grabbed Sister Zhou's clothes tightly. Sister Zhou, you can't leave me. There are so many people. I'm afraid I'll get lost. Don't worry. Sister Zhou, are we going to the place of work now? When can you arrange for me to be a surrogate? On the way, Sister Zhou had already seen Ning Shu's long-winded mouth. She really wanted to sew his mouth. If she endured it now, he would be punished in the future. Sister Zhou could only endure and said, I have to check your body first. If your body is qualified and there is no disease, you can be a surrogate. Chapter 1528. Ning Shu looked at the people coming towards them. They were probably plainclothes police officers. They ran over and detained Ning Shu and Sister Zhou. Sister Zhou was handcuffed and she looked extremely panicked. What are you doing? This is a robbery. Shut up. The police are doing their job. Ning Shu and Sister Zhou were taken into the car and driven to the police station. Ning Shu felt that she was very fated with the police station in this world. She was always invited for tea and the police would serve her tea. She had to thank the police for serving tea. Sister Zhou's face was pale. She didn't understand how she was exposed. She had abducted and sold many women, but she had never failed. When they arrived at the police station, the police brought Ning Shu to another interrogation room. You called the police? Ning Shu nodded. It's me. This is my identification card. I went out to work and met Sister Zhou on the way. Ning Shu asked, do I get a reward for doing this? Police. Ning Shu was treated quite well. Sister Zhou searched her from head to toe and ensured that she didn't leave any communication devices behind. Under the police's interrogation, Sister Zhou told them about the illegal surrogacy agency. The police followed the clues and found the place and rescued many women. However, some of these women were still pregnant. It was obvious that they had already started surrogacy. It was different from the beautiful blueprint that Sister Zhou had described to Ning Shu. These women were all tricked. Some were even snatched. When you walked in a remote area at night, your mouth would be covered and you would bring bread. These women had no freedom. They were like hens that laid eggs. They were surrogate mothers and earned money for the black-hearted agency. Other than eating to ensure that the fetus could grow in their wombs, they didn't get any money. There was no freedom. They also had to ensure that the fetus in their wombs was healthy, because the clients didn't want an unhealthy fetus. At this time, they had to abort the defective fetus in their wombs. In short, it was like raising chickens for these women to give birth to babies. Surrogacy was worth tens of thousands of yuan. These women didn't get a single cent. Moreover, the money earned was much more than selling the women to the mountains. The children were valuable. Women had the right to use their own bodies. However, this wasn't a reason for those people to exploit them. The suspects were caught, but the pregnant women made the police feel numb. However, there was a woman who proposed to abort the child in her belly. She almost knelt on the ground and cried herself hoarse. None of this had anything to do with Ning Shu. He just received a token reward from the police station. Ning Shu got into the car. She did not plan to stay in this city. She wanted to go somewhere else. Ning Shu sat in the car. This time, she wouldn't meet someone like Sister Zhou again, right? If they were to meet again, they would come again. With Ning Shu's martial prowess, he was not afraid at all. It would be best to do it again and wipe them all out. The sun shone brightly, but there were also dark corners where the light could not reach. In these corners, evil thrived. There was not only white in the world, but also black and gray. It wasn't even pure white. The human heart was complicated. One had to have the ability to protect oneself, to have the skills to live in peace, and to survive in this dangerous world. At the very least, such a world was relatively perfect. Ning Shu sat on the bus for a few days and arrived at another bustling city. Ning Shu got off the bus and found a small hotel to stay in. She had to plan her future work. Ning Shu counted her skills. She knew programming, martial arts, embroidery, cooking. She knew quite a lot of things. But what should she do? Ning Shu planned to wander around the internet cafe and look for a job online. Ning Shu saw a game company looking for programming. Ning Shu immediately called her to apply. In the end, the other party had a university degree in computer science. I have a junior high school diploma. Do you want it? Ning Shu said that her programming skills were not weak, but the other party hung up. Sometimes, a diploma did not mean anything, but it was a stepping stone. Ning Shu sighed and continued browsing the web. Ning Shu did not believe that she could not find a suitable job. She saw a taekwondo dojo looking for a coach. Ning Shu felt that she could give it a try. She could go for an interview. Ning Shu did not believe that taekwondo required a university degree. She despaired of this world where everyone had to obtain a certificate. Ning Shu also saw a gun club looking for a coach. Guns were prohibited, but in this kind of club, only the rich played. Ning Shu felt that her shooting skills were not bad. Even if she could not hit the target, she still had her mental strength. However, they wanted to hire retired special forces. Ning Shu bought a slightly better set of clothes so that they wouldn't look so dusty. She also went to trim her hair a little to make it look fresher and neater. Then, Ning Shu began to go to the taekwondo dojo for an interview. Ning Shu had already thought about it. If she could not pass the interview, she would go to the streets to sell egg pancakes. She could survive. If that did not work, she would roast sweet potatoes. Ning Shu arrived at the taekwondo dojo. The interviewee was surprised to see Ning Shu and asked Ning Shu for a taekwondo certificate. This certificate was issued by the Taekwondo Association. Everything was a black belt. Ning Shu was speechless. She was in despair. What did not require a certificate? Ning Shu said, "I don't have a certificate, but I am a black belt." Really? If you don't believe me, we can fight. The interviewer was speechless. This interviewer was in his 30s. He probably knew some kung fu. His eyes were sharp and his body was strong. You can test my martial arts. It is beyond your imagination. I will get a certificate. Ning Shu stretched out her hand. You only need 1 minute to test me. The interviewer took off his jacket. He was wearing a taekwondo uniform with a black belt around his waist. This represented his taekwondo level. Ning Shu struck a taekwondo pose. After 2 rounds, she easily gave the interviewer a shoulder throw. The interviewer got up. Not bad. But you need to get your certificate. Our classes are usually on Sundays. You only need to come on Saturdays and Sundays. Ning Shu was happy. This meant that she was hired. Also, she only had 2 working days a week. She could do a lot of things during the rest of the time. For example, she could learn something or get a certificate. The person who interviewed Ning Shu was the boss of this taekwondo dojo. The main business scope was to teach people who wanted to learn taekwondo. Most of the people who wanted to learn taekwondo were children and women. There were also men who wanted to learn taekwondo. He wanted to find a female coach to teach white-collar workers, high school students, and college students. He had worked hard to run this taekwondo dojo. He did not want any rumors of a coach molesting a female student to ruin his reputation. When Ning Shu saw the recruitment notice for a female coach, she felt that she had a higher chance of being hired. Now, she had at least one job. The boss brought Ning Shu to get a certificate and she got a black belt. Yes, she could make a living with martial arts. Chapter 1529. Ning Shu had originally thought that this job would be a very easy one. However, on the first day of work, Ning Shu saw children who were as tall as her belly button. There were boys and girls. They were wearing taekwondo uniforms and were chattering noisily. Their movements were not standard at all and they were not serious at all. They even ran around the house, chasing each other. No matter what she said, they would ignore her. She repeatedly told them, but they did not seem to care. It was extremely noisy. Ning Shu was having a headache. Ning Shu stomped her feet on the ground and shouted, "Quiet down." The situation was under control. Everyone looked at Ning Shu in a daze. No matter what you do, persistence and perseverance are the most important. You came to learn taekwondo not only for a healthy and strong physique, but also to train your will to be as strong as steel. Who's going to make a fuss? Ning Shu broke the thick board with her palm. The boss was shocked by Ning Shu and quickly walked over. Don't be too powerful. If so many parents complain about us, how can I continue to operate this taekwondo dojo? Ning Shu. Wah. A little girl burst into tears. As soon as she cried, the others also cried. Mommy, she's so fierce. Ning Shu suddenly felt that she was not suitable for this job. She had to find a new job. The parents of these children were probably rich and sent these little radishes to learn this. She could not even be more strict. Practicing martial arts was to strengthen the body and the heart. Ning Shu stomped her feet again. Anyway, she had nothing to lose. What are you crying for? Press your legs. Hurry up. Ning Shu shouted. Some of the children were so scared that they burped and started to press their legs while sobbing. Ning Shu rolled her eyes. After class, the parents who came to pick up their children saw the crying children and immediately went to find trouble with Ning Shu. They even asked Ning Shu to apologize. Ning Shu, fearless, she was not a kindergarten teacher. She had to be gentle and considerate to these children. The boss apologized to the parents, and they left unsatisfied. The boss sighed. Ning Shu asked, "Then should I come tomorrow?" The boss nodded. Of course. Ning Shu was a little surprised. Her work was so bad, but she was still allowed to go to work. Boss, you're a good man. Tomorrow is the weekend. There will be a lot of white-collar women coming back. Go and teach them some moves to protect themselves. You don't have to be too strict with those children. It's a thankless task. You've seen the attitude of those parents. Those kids just need to be able to perform 2 beautiful moves, the boss said. Ning Shu, profiteer, however, he had no choice. He was here to learn taekwondo, but he didn't want to suffer at all. I'll teach the kids, the boss said. Ning Shu nodded. Thank you. I will work hard. The next day, Ning Shu taught the white-collar workers and the slightly older children. She felt much better. At least they could understand what she was saying. Also, these white-collar women all paid money to learn. If they didn't learn seriously, they would be letting down the money they worked so hard to earn. Ning Shu taught these white-collar women fighting skills. She taught them to hit with 1 hit and then have a chance to escape. She couldn't count on men to be self-aware. She could only strengthen herself. Ning Shu looked at the boss among a bunch of children. She was very tired of taking care of them. Ning Shu suspected that this was a nursery. Those parents wanted to entrust their children here. Ning Shu coughed with a cold face. When the children saw Ning Shu, they immediately looked away. Sometimes, when Ning Shu went to the toilet, she would hear these children call her a tigress. Ning Shu couldn't help but laugh. She wouldn't argue with these children. She was afraid that they would only talk behind people's backs. However, Ning Shu got along well with the students under her. In the adult world, the strong were worthy of respect. Ning Shu's martial arts were not weak, and the things she taught them were practical. After every training, Ning Shu would tell them how to massage and what acupuncture points to massage to relieve muscle tension. The girls who came here to learn Taekwondo all wanted to make themselves stronger and have some fighting power. If they encountered danger, they would have the ability to resist. It was better to rely on oneself than on others. Ning Shu taught very seriously. Not only could she earn money, but she could also help others. Ning Shu's daily salary was not small. If a student wanted to sign up under her, she would get a commission. That was to say, if someone signed up to learn Taekwondo, Ning Shu would get a commission. When she wasn't at work, Ning Shu had to distribute flyers on the street. Maybe she would be lucky and get someone. Sometimes, Ning Shu would just take a few pieces of wood that were as thick as a finger and show off her skills when necessary. I'm someone who knows real martial arts. Just go and distribute flyers. You don't have to do this. It's like a street performer. The boss was speechless. Ning Shu was speechless. Fortunately, I didn't perform breaking a rock on my chest, Ning Shu said. It's useless to distribute flyers. Even the paper is too hard to wipe my butt. Ning Shu would carry a wooden board to distribute flyers every time. When someone questioned her, she would stack a few wooden boards and chop them with her hand. This job was fixed. Ning Shu found a small rented house. Although it was small, it was enough for one person to live in. Ning Shu took out the ginseng from her bag. The ginseng was in good condition. If it was in ancient times, it could be sold for 100 taels of silver. But in modern times, it was unknown. Ning Shu took the ginseng to the famous medicine hall to sell it. The person looked at it and didn't want it at all. He said directly, "We have a regular supply channel. We don't accept such scattered things. Moreover, we don't know if this is planted or wild. If I planted it, why would I bring it here?" Ning Shu said speechlessly. Medicinal herbs like this were in high demand in ancient times. The medicinal effects of planted and wild herbs are the same. We can't tell. We don't accept scattered ones. Ning Shu sighed in her heart and wrapped the ginseng. If they didn't accept it, she would just keep it. One day, she would stew it into soup. In modern society, there were more and more fake things. Her things were not easy to sell. Besides, the social classes in modern society had been solidified. The social resources had been allocated. There were fewer ways for people to climb up. Sometimes, when you had something in your hands, people didn't want it because they had partners. Everything required a certificate. They paid more attention to the education level. Ning Shu came out of the medicine hall and smelled the ginseng. If they didn't want such a good thing, she would keep it for herself. Ning Shu didn't have much time to work. She planned to sign up for a chef's pastry class. After she left, her body had been strengthened by her peerless martial arts. Part of her strength would be left. But she didn't have the ability to fly. Unless the client continued to cultivate peerless martial arts, but it was difficult to cultivate to Ning Shu's level. Chapter 1530. Ning Shu originally wanted to take a computer science course and become a programmer in the future. However, the client was only a junior high school graduate after all. Usually, when he came into contact with computers, he had only seen them on TV. Maybe it was too strenuous for her. She might as well learn how to make pastries. Ning Shu had some cooking skills. He believed that it wouldn't be difficult for Wang Ying, who had washed and cooked since she was young. At least he had to get a certificate. Without a certificate, it would be difficult to do anything. However, there were fake certificates. Instead of a half-fake one, he might as well spend some money to learn. As long as he had a skill, he could survive. As long as he could do it to the extreme, he would be successful. After Ning Shu received his salary, he went to a pastry school and signed up to learn how to make pastries. Ning Shu chose a relatively famous school. It was famous, but the tuition was a little expensive. Ning Shu took a deep breath and gritted his teeth as he paid the tuition fee. Ning Shu signed up for a 1-year intensive class. There were 3 months of accelerated classes. Ning Shu didn't sign up. Since he wanted to learn, he would learn for a longer time. It was never wrong to learn more. Then Ning Shu dealt with flour and cream every day. Ning Shu's body always had an inexhaustible smell of wheat and roasted vegetables. Ning Shu would bake his own bread at home or make some pastries for the students. The students had no resistance to sweets, and their attitude towards Ning Shu was much better. Some of Ning Shu's students said that Ning Shu could be a cake maker and open a bakery. Ning Shu smiled. Maybe he could open a bakery. However, it wasn't easy to set up a business in this city. It was also a goal to strive for. Ning Shu's students had increased, but the increase wasn't much. They were all introduced by his students. The more the merrier. Ning Shu didn't refuse. The more students there were, the lower the chances of her being fired. After all, everyone was targeting her. Quest complete. Leave the quest world. 2333's voice rang out in Ning Shu's mind. After that, Ning Shu felt dizzy. When Ning Shu returned to the system space, he really wanted to vomit. It was as if his soul was being squeezed. Ning Shu looked at his own soul. It was much thinner than before. If it was jelly before, it was milk now. Her soul directly passed through the object, and she couldn't even take it. It was a huge loss. The second mission really made her heart ache. Congratulations on completing the Super Mission Taker's trial mission. Please check your rewards. Mission 1. Fulfill Yi Xiaodong's wish. Mission completion rate, 90%. You will receive a reward card, 2 attribute points, and 2,000 faith power. Yi Xiaotong became an embroidery master and saved up money for her brother to hold an art exhibition. Mission 2. Fulfill Kong Lin's wish and cancel the contract. Mission completion rate, 100. You will be rewarded with 2 contribution points and 3 attribute points. From then on, Kong Lin flew freely in the sky. No one could control her anymore, including the Heavenly Tao, because Kong Lin was already a dead person. Mission 3. Complete Wang Ying's counterattack. Mission completion rate, 100. You will receive a reward card, 5 attribute points, and Wang Ying's blessing. You will receive the Brave Heart aura. This aura has a certain effect on strength when in danger. Wang Ying has a happy family, an understanding husband, and a bakery business. Overall evaluation pays more attention to the client's future development. Overall score, 90. Reward, enter the law space to understand the law. Ning Shu, yay yay yay, finally, the mission was completed. To be able to enter the law space, what was the loss of soul power? Ning Shu sat on the ground and began to absorb the pure soul power. Probably because there were 3 clients this time, the soul power was slightly more. Ning Shu felt that the feeling of his soul being exhausted dissipated a lot. Ning Shu opened his attribute panel. Name, Ning Shu. Age, 27. Level, Super Mission Client Reward Card. 100,125, 10 million for a reward card. Soul value, 0/2 health value, 0 to 1 wisdom, 0 to 1 charm, 0 to 1 mental power, 0 to 1 martial power, 0/2 aptitude, 0/2 faith, 400,002,000 merit, 15260 law understanding, none skills, 5th ring shooting technique, intermediate close combat technique, exceptional martial arts proficiency, intermediate poison technique, beginner business management knowledge, beginner code programming, beginner lawyer skill, sage ghost catching skill, beginner cooking skill, beginner embroidery skill. Honorary titles, Goddess of War, Selfless Ancestor items, Calm Aura, Calming Pill, Faith Aura, Amulet 4, Upgraded Amulet 2. Aura, Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing, Model Worker, Qinshi's Blessing, Leader Aura, Grass Blessing, Lifelong Friend, Miao Miao Miao's Blessing. Life-Saving Hand, Zhu Su Nyang's Blessing. Founding Woman, Chen Ermiai's Blessing. Beauty-in-Law, Chen Ning's Blessing. Bane of the Blood Clan, Jasmine's Blessing. Transcending Race Communication, Bai Sanyang's Blessing. Brave Heart, Wang Ying's Blessing. Ning Shu felt that his attribute points had become less. In the past, he would have dozens of attribute points, but now he only had a few points. When he had less attribute points, he only had 1 point. It was too fucking shabby. 2333 said, now 1 attribute point is equivalent to 10 points in the past. It's not a small amount. It's easier to count with less attribute points. It's also simpler. 2333 asked, "Do you want to go to the law space now?" Ning Shu nodded. "Quickly. I'll open up a passage first and explain the virtual space to you." Ning Shu sat up straight and perked up her ears to listen to 2333. The virtual space is filled with different kinds of laws. These laws are drawn from the law C. Basically, the planes born from the law C all have these laws. They are mostly the same and can be used in any plane. However, it depends on the plane's suppression. Ning Shu's face darkened as he listened to 2333's words seriously. He thought to himself, who made this law space? To be able to make such a space is really awesome. The virtual space is filled with violent laws, and the laws in each area are different. There are many laws: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. There are many laws, such as the law of wind, the law of ice, the law of water, and the top-notch law of time and space. There is a city in each law area. The purpose of these cities is to protect the mission takers. If you want to understand the anti-law, you have to leave the city. The further you are from the city, the more violent the laws are. With your current soul state, I'm afraid that you will be torn apart and can only stay in the city. 2333 said. The passage is fixed. Which law city do you want to go to first? 2333 asked. Ning Shu thought, she can't understand anything now, so it doesn't matter. Let's go to the time city. Ning Shu had a strange obsession with time. This was because Ning Shu had seen the power of the law of time. It was too heaven-defying, and almost no one could escape from time. Chapter 1531. There was another reason why Ning Shu wanted to learn the law of time. He wanted to go back and see his parents. He didn't know how time flowed in his hometown. Please stand at the entrance of the passage, 2333 said. Wait. Ning Shu opened the chat system and sent a message to Mei Ziqing. Mei Ziqing was someone familiar with the law space. With her around, he could learn more about the law space. Ning Shu, are you there? I'm going to the law space now. Ding dong. Mei Ziqing replied, which city are you in? Time City. Then we'll see you later. Ning Shu closed the chat system and stood at the passage to the law space. This time, the teleportation took a long time. During the process, Ning Shu felt dizzy. If he had a stomach, he would have vomited by now. When his feet touched the ground, Ning Shu felt that his soul was about to scatter. His soul power. Ning Shu looked around. The style of the time city was still ancient. Beneath Ning Shu's feet was a bluestone slab. As Ning Shu's feet stepped on the bluestone slab, she could faintly feel some kind of power surging on the bluestone slab. There's very little law of time on the stone floor. It's a bit strenuous for you, 2333 said. 2333, over here. Mei Ziqing waved to Ning Shu. Hearing Mei Ziqing call him 2333, Ning Shu was stunned. Then he remembered that Mei Ziqing was calling him. Her code name was 2333. Ning Shu walked over with some difficulty to Mei Ziqing's side. How did your soul become like this? Mei Ziqing asked in surprise. Ning Shu looked at Mei Ziqing's strong soul and felt bitter. It became like this because I was doing a mission. Congratulations on becoming a super mission taker. We can team up in more dangerous worlds in the future. Let's go to the restaurant. Mei Ziqing reached out to Ning Shu, but her hand went through Ning Shu's body. Ning Shu. He couldn't even hold hands with others. Mei Ziqing smiled. It's good that you can enter the law of space after spending some soul power. Please don't gloat. Mei Ziqing covered her mouth and laughed. Why would I be gloating? I'm just curious as to what kind of mission would cause such a mess. As they spoke, Ning Shu and Mei Ziqing arrived at the entrance of the restaurant. It was Ning Shu's first time in the law space, and his soul could not withstand the power of the law space, so he walked rather slowly. Mei Ziqing probably wanted to take care of Ning Shu. She walked very slowly and chatted with Ning Shu along the way. Ning Shu walked into the restaurant, which was relatively empty. There were only a few people sitting around. There were both men and women. Ning Shu was a little excited. This was the first time he had seen so many super mission takers. There were also many cities in this space. There was one city in each law zone, and there were also super mission takers scattered in other cities. Ning Shu was very excited. Ning Shu and Mei Ziqing found a table and sat down. A waiter came up to them and asked them what they wanted to eat. Ning Shu saw that the waiter's soul was extremely condensed and arrogant. Could it be that even a waiter was a super mission taker? Indeed, there would always be someone better than you. Mei Ziqing ordered a few dishes. Ning Shu said, "The dishes I ordered can strengthen the soul." "Thank you." Ning Shu noted down the dishes Mei Ziqing ordered. Ning Shu asked, "Have you comprehended the law?" Mei Ziqing picked up her teacup and drank. "I have comprehended a bit of the law of water, but it's just a flash of inspiration. There's still a long way to go before I can fully comprehend it." Ning Shu thought, so difficult. After a while, the waiter served the dishes. The dishes were very exquisite and whetted one's appetite. Even if one's soul was not hungry, seeing these dishes would make one's soul hungry. "Let's eat." Mei Ziqing said, "You can't underestimate the people here, just like that waiter. They stay in the law space for a long time. When they have nothing to do, they work in the restaurant to earn faith power. Everything here uses faith power. In this space, only merit and power of faith are hard currencies. What we're eating now is paid with merit or power of faith." Ning Shu thought, "Seems like we've come to a very high-class place." Ning Shu ate a mouthful of food and felt that his soul was very comfortable. It was good stuff. 2333, aren't you looking for the world's origin? You can go to the trading hall. Maybe you can find it. Mei Ziqing said to Ning Shu. Every time Ning Shu heard 2333, he would jump. He felt that Mei Ziqing was calling him 2333 and not her. "You can just call me Ning Shu." Ning Shu said, "Ning Shu. I'm Mei Ziqing. Now that we know each other by name, we can be considered partners." Mei Ziqing smiled. Ning Shu nodded. Ning Shu and Mei Ziqing were talking mainly because they wanted to understand more about this nomological space. If Mei Ziqing needed her help in the future, she would definitely help. Whatever Ning Shu asked, Mei Ziqing would tell Ning Shu what she knew. If she didn't know, Mei Ziqing wouldn't be able to answer Ning Shu. At this moment, someone came down from upstairs. When he saw Ning Shu, his eyes lit up. "There's a newcomer." He closed the fan in his hand and walked over elegantly. Ning Shu looked at the man. He was wearing a man's qipao and had a fan in his hand. There was a painting of mountains and rivers on the fan. He looked like an elegant man from the Republic of China with a parted hairstyle. When Mei Ziqing saw this person, she rolled her eyes and took a sip of tea. "Are you new here? Have you registered?" The Cheongsam man asked Ning Shu. He lifted the hem of his Cheongsam and sat down. Mei Ziqing explained, "It's just an identification. I'll take you to do it later." The embroidered face blooms with a smile. The slanted flying duck complements her cheeks. The moment you move your eyes, you'll be guessed. One side is deep and charming, the other half is tender and resentful. The moon moves and the shadow moves again. The man in the qipao looked at Ning Shu and read. Ning Shu, who had read a lot of books, could immediately tell that this was an obscene song. "Can you really read this?" Ning Shu looked at the man in the qipao silently. This was sexual harassment. The man in the qipao opened his fan and fanned himself lightly. He didn't care about Ning Shu's gaze at all. Mei Ziqing said to Ning Shu, "You can agree." Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. Mei Ziqing wanted him to agree to do that with this man. Ning Shu looked at the man and saw that his legs were trembling slightly under the table. His hand was gripping the fan tightly. He looked very leisurely and flirtatious, but his body was honestly nervous. Ning Shu asked, "Let's do it when the moon is above the trees?" The man in the qipao's expression changed. Then he read, "The body of a 28-year-old girl is limp. The sword at her waist will cut the foolish man. Although the head won't fall, the bone marrow will dry up." Chapter 1532. The man in the cheongsam was saying something along the lines of, "Don't be fooled by the beautiful woman's soft body. She seems to be carrying a murderous axe around her waist." Although the perverted man's head didn't fall to the ground, he would unknowingly be fucked by the woman. Men, don't lust after women. She will take your life. Kill you. I'm not that kind of person. Are you misunderstanding something? The man in the cheongsam shook his head. Ning Shu was speechless. Fuck, did he meet a retard? He said a bunch of obscene words to her and Mei Ziqing, and now he was serious. Remember to register. The man in the cheongsam waved his fan and walked away. He even turned back and winked at Ning Shu. The crowd booed. They obviously knew the man in the cheongsam and were teasing him. Ning Shu was speechless. What's wrong with him? Ning Shu and Mei Ziqing asked. Mei Ziqing couldn't help but laugh. You mean him? He especially likes to flirt with new girls. He's an old virgin, but he pretends to be unruly and flirt with girls. If the girl agrees, he immediately gives up. Ning Shu's expression became clear. So he was a pure man on the outside. He probably felt that his reputation as an old virgin was bad, and he liked to flirt with girls. If a girl decided to date him, he would immediately become a coward. Coward. However, those who could enter the space of laws weren't simple people. Some had even mastered the rules. Ning Shu and Mei Ziqing finished all the dishes on the table. After all, they had to pay with the power of faith and merit. Mei Ziqing paid for the meal, but Ning Shu insisted on going Dutch. After all, her relationship with Mei Ziqing wasn't good enough for her to pay without any psychological burden. Mei Ziqing didn't say anything. After that, Mei Ziqing brought Ning Shu to the trading hall to get an identity card. The trading hall was huge. Many people were exchanging or buying things. There were also official auctions. Ning Shu looked at the stalls one by one. He didn't find any world origin. It's not easy to find something like the world's origin. Are you using it for yourself or for someone else? The world's origin is only used to construct the world. Other than that, it has no other use. Mei Ziqing asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu asked Mei Ziqing, "Are you going to construct a world?" Mei Ziqing shook his head. Building a world isn't a small matter. Besides, I haven't found the medium to build a world. Those who can build a world are all-powerful beings. I want to comprehend the laws right now. Ning Shu frowned. Only by constructing a world can we control our own destiny. As long as the world exists, our destiny will be connected to the world we construct. The people above will not dare to kill us. So what if you've grasped the laws? If you're killed, you'll have nothing left. That's true, but it's too difficult to construct a world. It's not easy to find a carrier or a world's origin. Ning Shu, constructing a world requires sufficient luck. It's not like building a house. Mei Ziqing wasn't in a good mood when he talked about this. However, if you've grasped the laws, you'll be considered a powerhouse. When you're killed, you'll have to think about it. After all, it's not easy to produce a mission enforcer who can comprehend the laws. Ning Shu felt stifled by Mei Ziqing's words. Even if you've comprehended the laws, you'll still be killed if you do something wrong. A mission enforcer who couldn't be controlled and caused serious consequences would still be killed even if you've comprehended the laws. This was a matter of survival. Survival was so serious. If you want to reach the top, you'll have to endure all kinds of setbacks. You'll have to give up something in order to gain something. Ning Shu wasn't afraid of loneliness. That was the title of a king. Along the way, Ning Shu felt that his luck was pretty good. He already had a carrier to construct a world and 2 world origins. Ning Shu felt that he was still favored by the heavens. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. Mei Ziqing smiled. Ning Shu said, "I'm going to comprehend the laws of water." Ning Shu nodded. Try to comprehend it as soon as possible. Mei Ziqing's soul gradually disappeared. Once Mei Ziqing left, Ning Shu grimaced. The force on the limestone floor made Ning Shu feel very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. 2333, send me back, Ning Shu said to 2333. Okay. The feeling of the world spinning came again. Ning Shu hadn't felt the weakness of his soul in a long time. It was all kinds of discomfort. Back in the system space, Ning Shu lay on the bed. The teleportation process was too uncomfortable. With her soul's current state, she couldn't even stand to stay in the city for a while, let alone comprehend the laws. If she left the city, she might be turned into ashes by the laws. Ning Shu opened the exchange store to see if there were any potions that could repair her soul. When she became a divine beast, the backlash from the heavenly Tao damaged her soul. Then she suffered a heavenly tribulation. Ning Shu browsed the exchange store and saw the spiritual god's soothing potion. There was a green potion that could repair her soul. But the price was too expensive. It cost 30 merit points. Damn, she didn't get any merit points in 3 worlds. A potion that was the same color as kiwi juice cost 30 merit points. It could be blacker. But the feeling of her soul being drained was too uncomfortable. Ning Shu gritted her teeth and clicked on the exchange store. Ning Shu drank the potion and felt a cool and gentle energy swimming in her soul. It was like a dry land that was receiving a rainstorm. It was refreshing. The pain and discomfort of her soul also slowly disappeared. The 30 merit points were well worth it. She didn't know who set up the exchange store. So black-hearted, so black-hearted. Profiteer. Ning Shu closed her eyes and planned to sleep. The 3 nerve-wracking missions were finally completed. She became a super mission enforcer and entered the law space. The city in the law space was very safe. It used a power similar to a barrier to cover the city and prevent the chaotic laws from hurting the mission enforcers. Ning Shu yawned. Too tired. When Ning Shu woke up, the system space was still the same. There was no day or night. The system space didn't have a flow of time, so Ning Shu didn't know how long she slept. Ning Shu stretched herself lazily. After drinking the medicine and sleeping, she felt as if she had been injected with chicken blood. She was alive again. The world was beautiful. Ning Shu looked down at her hand. Although it was still very weak, it would soon become strong again. As long as she completed the missions, she would have pure soul power. Ning Shu got up from the bed and took out the Peerless Martial Art from the bookshelf. What made Ning Shu very surprised was that the Peerless Martial Arts had actually become very heavy. Ning Shu actually had no way to lift her up with one hand. The Peerless Martial Art had a qualitative change. Chapter 1533. Ning Shu looked at the thick and heavy Peerless Martial Arts book. The words, Peerless Martial Arts, written in golden Xiaozhuan script on the page seemed to darken. Now, the pages had disappeared, and the Peerless Martial Art had turned into a rectangular object. Ning Shu released her mental power and invaded the inside of the Peerless Martial Art. Under the probing of Ning Shu's spiritual power, the Peerless Martial Art had formed a lifeless space. There was nothing in this space, nothing at all. Although there were no signs of living creatures, Ning Shu was very happy, because a book formed a space, and it was a space formed by faith power. As long as she found the 5 world origins, her world would evolve into living creatures. The living creatures living in this space would provide her with an endless supply of faith power. At the same time, her fate was connected to the world she built. If she died, the world she built would also disappear, the living creatures in the world would also disappear. This was why the people above didn't dare to casually kill the strong people who built the world. Hundreds of millions of living creatures couldn't just disappear like that. The world had its own laws. Even if she was now in soul form, Ning Shu felt her heart pounding. She was very excited. Everything was progressing in a good direction. Ning Shu felt that she was a person who was blessed by the heavens. Release your soul origin and connect with the world. 2333 Ning Shu said. She needed soul origin, Ning Shu thought. She took out a trace of her soul origin and invaded the world. From now on this space was one with her. Ning Shu's soul origin invaded the Peerless Martial Art. He felt that he had gained control over the Peerless Martial Art. When she took the book again, it didn't feel heavy. Ning Shu put the book on the bookshelf. She would soon be able to build her own world. She wouldn't have to worry about being obliterated. Ning Shu looked at the 2 beads on the wall. The black hole formed by the fusion of the two beads was only the size of a fist. It should be done soon. The black hole was small, the effect on the system space was even smaller. He wondered what kind of heavenly orb would be formed from the soul orb and the orb that could freely travel between worlds. The soul pearl was truly the most thirsty thing Ning Shu had ever seen. It was absorbing souls and even boundary stones. So far, the souls that the soul pearl had devoured were on par with the soul pearl that could summon creatures through the planes at will. It had even snatched boundary stones that could strengthen the planes. Ning Shu would be very angry if the fusion turned out to be useless. The system space almost collapsed because of the fight between the two beads. Ning Shu took out the time ring that he had obtained in the past. The time ray that this ring shot out could instantly annihilate a person, even their soul. Could the ruby ring help her comprehend the law of time? The law of time stone. Ning Shu held the ring in his hand, feeling a little nervous. He was afraid that he would accidentally kill himself. The laws of time were too powerful. Ning Shu revered and wanted to control them. Ning Shu pulled out the red rose from the vase. The red rose had always been delicate and beautiful, exuding the fragrance of roses. It was hard to imagine that this was a real flower. Moreover, it was a fresh flower that had been broken. Without the nourishment of the roots, it could still be so bright. Even if it was a fake flower, its color would fade after a long time. However, the red rose did not change at all. What in the world was this? How could it remain like this for so long? Ning Shu pointed to his chin and looked at the ruby ring and the red rose placed together. Both were bright red and beautiful. Sigh, the laws of time. Ning Shu placed the rose in the vase and put away the ruby ring. In her current soul state, it was a little difficult for her to enter the time city, let alone comprehend the laws of time. Even a tiny, negligible law on the bluestone slab was enough to make her unable to sense it. It seemed that the road to comprehending the laws of time was long. Every time Ning Shu took a step forward, he found that there was another scenery in front of him. It kept tempting him to go up and climb up. Ning Shu let out a long breath and opened the chat system. The chat system would push some news about the mission enforcers. Mission enforcers were also a social group. Ning Shu browsed the news. If he had nothing to do, he could read the gossip. But soon, Ning Shu couldn't stand it anymore. He was always fed a mouthful of dog food and it was forced. For example, number 2367 gave number 67450 a space. Giving something, writing about it, a space required a lot of merit and faith. He was really rich. Mission enforcers also liked to show off their love. Ning Shu felt that the whole world was targeting a cute single dog like him. Especially when he knew that number 2367 and number 67450 were both men, Ning Shu's face was even colder. There were some complaints in the news, and some people wrote about their experiences in doing missions. It was more like a forum, where anyone could speak freely. Ning Shu just browsed and didn't comment. Especially when he saw that the forum liked to use the word 2333, 23333 to express his feelings. Ning Shu felt uncomfortable. After browsing for a while, Ning Shu closed the chat system and asked 2333, "Can I see the mission enforcer first?" The black hole was so small that it shouldn't affect the mission enforcer much. Ning Shu was standing in front of the black hole, and the suction force of the black hole wasn't enough to suck him in. 2333 said, "I think it's better to wait until the fusion is complete. If something happens to the mission enforcer, both of us will be in trouble." I tried my best to suppress the aftermath of the battle between the two beads. To be honest, it was very difficult. I can't guarantee that I won't be able to suppress it. Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu thought that the fusion of the two beads was almost complete. At least there should be a winner. However, 2333 told her that they were still fighting. Ning Shu felt a little tired. Couldn't they just fuse the beads faster? Ning Shu couldn't remember the last time she met the mission enforcer first. It was all because of these two beads. Ning Shu said, "Then let's go do the mission." Doing missions could give her soul power, and it could strengthen her soul. The powerful soul that she was so proud of was gone just like that. Do you want to do a mission? 2333 asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu was speechless. 2333 She only cared about herself when she was strong. I remember that it hasn't been long since the last mission. Why do I have to do it again? Ning Shu didn't like to deal with wild systems. The process of robbing a wild system was a little troublesome. It has been a long time since the last mission. Ning Shu, your memory isn't very good. 2333 said. Ning Shu said, my memory is very good. If I think it hasn't been long, then it hasn't been long. Chapter 1534. 2333 heard Ning Shu's unreasonable words and was speechless for a while. In the end he said, okay, you're right. You're right. 2333 Get out of here. Ning Shu nodded. I just finished 3 chain missions. Let's find an easier mission first before doing the system mission. I have something to say, but I don't know if I should say it, Ning Shu said. 2333 Since you know it's not appropriate, then don't say it, please, 2333 said. It seems like it doesn't matter if you're strong or not. Why should I help you? You have to give me a beautiful blueprint. 2333 You can get mission rewards by doing the system mission. Isn't that a good reason? 2333 said. Ning Shu shook his head. What I mean is that I don't see any benefits if you're strong. To a certain extent, I'm your reserve power. My power supports the entire system space. Every time you enter a mission, you have to locate the client's body. This requires energy. If I don't have energy, you won't be able to find the client's body in the billions of worlds. And you won't be able to find the client's body in the billions of living creatures, 2333 said in a deep voice. Ning Shu, I don't know why you always think that I'm full of evil intentions. But we are one. Don't think that all the benefits from doing the system mission belong to me. We're just helping each other. If that's the case, let's get straight to the point. Ning Shu sat cross-legged on the sofa. He held his chin and said faintly, from your tone, it seems like you're not satisfied with becoming a system. That's true. Being wiped of memory and without a physical body. No one would be satisfied with that. Ning Shu felt that he needed to understand his work partner. He used to think that 2333 was a naughty retard. It seemed that the word retard was outdated to describe 2333. It's not that I'm not satisfied. It's just that I want to be strong. I want to have a physical body one day and be able to appear under the sun. Ning Shu, I won't hurt you, and I can't hurt you, just like you can't hurt me. We are people who will be together for the rest of our lives. Ning Shu was speechless. Hearing 2333's words, Ning Shu felt hopeless. They had been together for a lifetime. As long as she was not erased, who knew how long her life would be? Ning Shu said, let's do a simple mission first. We'll do the system mission next time. Oh. 2333 asked, do we enter the quest world now? Ning Shu nodded and opened up the system exchange store to exchange for fasting pills and medicines. Who knows, he might be able to use it in a mission. Ning Shu, who had stayed on planet Selder, was even more fascinated by food. No matter how extreme the environment was, as long as there was food, he could survive and complete the mission. Let's do the mission now, an easy one, Ning Shu said. After becoming a super mission taker, even the simplest mission will be a bit difficult. It definitely won't be as easy as a beginner mission, 2333 said and teleported Ning Shu away. Ning Shu felt dizzy and her vision blurred. She felt dizzy. When she fused with this body, she felt her body twitching. Ning Shu opened his eyes. His body was extremely uncomfortable and soft. Ning Shu saw himself lying in the forest. Tall trees covered the sky, the ground was covered with fallen leaves, and the stones were covered with moss. Ning Shu struggled to get up. His heart was beating fast, and his stomach was convulsing. He spat out white foam. His calf was swollen and there were 2 small teeth marks. Was this a snake bite? Ning Shu quickly pinched his calf and squeezed the wound. He felt for the dagger at his waist. He pulled out the knife and cut open the teeth marks. Black blood flowed out. Ning Shu squeezed the wound hard, trying to squeeze the poison out of his body. Ning Shu felt that it was difficult to breathe. He didn't know when the original owner had been bitten by the snake. Ning Shu bit the tip of his tongue to prevent himself from fainting. He squeezed the wound with his hands. Ning Shu squeezed until his hands were sore. Finally, he squeezed out blood. It was no longer thick black blood. Ning Shu took out an anti-inflammatory pill and ate it. He felt dizzy. There was probably still some poison in his body. Ning Shu looked around. This place was quite like a tropical rainforest. It was full of murderous intent. There were poisonous insects, snakes, and some terrifying animals. Ning Shu struggled, but ended up sitting on the ground. Ning Shu had a feeling that something was secretly spying on her. Anyway, it made her feel very unsafe. Ning Shu found a branch and stood up with it. The leg that was bitten by the snake was numb and he couldn't feel it at all. He just didn't know if there were any herbs around. It was reasonable to say that tropical rainforests should be rich in resources. Ning Shu felt very hot. It was estimated to be more than 38 degrees. His clothes were wet with sweat and his underwear was clearly visible. Ning Shu wanted to find a relatively safe place to accept the plot and get rid of the feeling of being spied on. How could the client be in such a place? Could it be an explorer? Sometimes exploring was a suicidal act. Ning Shu straightened his back and frowned. Why was he always being spied on? Ning Shu released his spiritual force and looked around. As a result, he saw a camera on a tree. The camera flashed red. Ning Shu didn't look back at the camera. Instead, he directly used his spiritual force to push the camera down the tree. With a bang, the camera fell to the ground and broke. Ning Shu looked at the camera and felt that he had to accept the plot first. There was actually a camera in this place. Ning Shu sat under the tree, cross-legged, and began to practice his unique martial arts. The air here was humid and stuffy. Occasionally, he could hear waves and the cry of seagulls. Ning Shu suspected that she was currently on an island. Occasionally, she would hear helicopters flying over her head and the sound of propellers spinning at high speed. Although a camera was broken, Ning Shu still felt that he was being spied on. Ning Shu didn't sit cross-legged. Instead, he leaned against the tree, straightened his legs and closed his eyes as if he was asleep. In fact, he released his spiritual force to observe whether there was any danger around him. He also accepted the plot. This was a program called Survival on an Island. It was a live broadcast show created by a TV station. There were many people participating in this program. In addition to the client, there were many other people participating, a total of 20 people. The purpose of this program was to survive on this deserted island for a month. Chapter 1535. The sponsor of this game was a big corporation. They were very rich and had so much money that they could burn. They sponsored this show and provided this island. By the way, this island was also a private production area for rich people. It was said that they bought it for this show. It was quite a gimmick. The client was called Sue Exon. She was a member of this live show. Why did she want to participate in this show? It was because of the generous rewards. If she could survive on this island for a month, she could get a reward of 10 million yuan. 10 million yuan was not a small amount. The client's mother had uremia and it had reached a very serious stage. There was no other way except for a kidney transplant. The client's parents divorced when she was young. Sue Exon lived with her mother. She relied on her mother for food, clothing, housing, transportation, and school. Her mother had uremia and now needed a kidney transplant. She could not afford to take medicine and dialysis, not to mention a kidney transplant. Especially when there was a settlement, the surgery might be done at any time. However, the surgery fee was a big problem. All these years, they relied on Sue Exon's mother to support the family alone. Their life had been very difficult. Ever since Sue Exon's mother fell ill, the family did not have much savings. Sue Exon could not imagine her mother leaving her. Sue Exon's mother did not even find another man to marry for this daughter. Perhaps it was a man who hurt her. Su Xian's mother practically used her own blood to nurture Su Xian into a university student. However, at this time, Su Xian's mother fell ill. The family did not have money, and it was impossible for her to look for her father. She was already over 18 years old. Her father had no responsibility to raise her. Not to mention, her father had already started a new family. How could he give her money? At this time, Su Xian saw the TV station looking for reality show actors. All kinds of people could participate. If they succeeded, they would get a reward of 10 million yuan. If she got 10 million yuan, her mother's surgery fee would be settled. The interview went smoothly. Perhaps it was Su Xian's identity as a university student that allowed her to enter this live show game. This live show selected people from all walks of life, all kinds of identities, and all kinds of professions. There were university students, doctors, lawyers, and even gangsters. There were men and women. There were a total of 20 people. They probably wanted to see how people of different professions would perform on a deserted island. This way, there would be drama and drama. Everyone came for the 10 million yuan. After all, 10 million yuan was not a small amount. Some people would not be able to earn it in their whole lives. Regardless of whether or not he had his reasons, he wanted to win and get the 10 million. After that, a helicopter brought a group of people to the island. They were not given any resources, nothing, and the 20 people were thrown to a deserted island. The harsh environment of the island was beyond everyone's expectations. There was no food, only walkie-talkies and daggers. Poisonous snakes and insects were everywhere, and there were even some unknown species. It was simply inconceivable. As a person who couldn't even recognize all the food crops, it was inconceivable for him to find something edible. Just like everyone else, the client was dumbfounded. Moreover, not all of them were released at the same time. 20 of them were scattered in different areas. He probably didn't want the 20 of them to group up and wanted to observe them alone. As a program, it had to be broadcasted. The client had a bad feeling in his heart. They were really leaving them on the island and ignoring them. The client could only record the number of days on the island by day and night. Everyone's actions were being monitored by the cameras. The island was filled with cameras. Eating, drinking, and defecating were all under the surveillance of others. The client was at a loss at first, but after a while, he managed to find an edible bug. That's right, it was a bug. When people were hungry, they could only eat bugs. Any edible fruit in the forest would be eaten by the birds and insects. When Ning Shu came, the client was bitten by a poisonous snake and died. The original owner's wish was to leave the island alive. She couldn't imagine how desperate her mother would be when she heard that her daughter had died. There was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. There was a 10 million reward. As for whether or not there was a 10 million reward in the end, Su Xian didn't know. Because she had already lost her life to the poisonous snake's fangs. Ning Shu felt hungry. He secretly took out a fasting pill and ate it. The fasting pill turned into a warm current that flowed into his stomach. His body felt alive again. When the client died, it was the 4th day on the island. Actually, the client should have paid attention when they were participating in the program. Because they had signed an agreement beforehand. The content of the agreement was that if the contestants encountered any danger during the mission, the organizers would not be responsible. Moreover, the organizers didn't tell the 20 people what they would encounter later. They also didn't tell the 20 people that it was very dangerous. If they didn't want to participate, they could withdraw. Under the temptation of 10 million, plus the organizers' coaxing and cheating, the program, Survival on a Deserted Island, was born. The client was desperate. Even though he knew it wasn't easy, his mother couldn't wait any longer. Ning Shu sighed. He couldn't figure out the purpose of this program. Ning Shu closed his eyes and began to practice his unique martial arts. He wanted to see if he could leave the island after a month. Ning Shu's heart was filled with shadows. The original owner died relatively early. As for what happened after, he didn't know. Ning Shu even thought that none of the 20 of them would be able to leave the island alive. This was an isolated island surrounded by the ocean. There was no way to leave the island without a boat. He didn't know what the effect of this program would be. If everyone died in the program, it would be even more explosive. The corporation that sponsored this program probably had something fishy. Sure enough, they had too much money to burn. Maybe the rich were bored and wanted to have some fun. Sure enough, the happiness of the rich was unimaginable. Because of the snake venom, Ning Shu's body was very uncomfortable. Moreover, the weather was very hot and his mouth was dry. What Ning Shu needed to do now was to find a water source. He was surrounded by the ocean. The ocean was salty and naturally couldn't be drunk. The client collected dew from the leaves every morning when there was dew and drank until he was full. Then, when the sun came out and the dew evaporated, there was no water to drink for the whole day. The client didn't find a source of fresh water in the past few days. There were so many creatures on this island. There must be a source of fresh water. Ning Shu cultivated the fiery yang energy in his dantian. He sent the fiery yang energy into the blood vessels and meridians all over his body. He wanted to force the poison out of his blood. It was not good to be in a daze all the time. Living on a deserted island, he had to be vigilant. Some unknown insects and poisonous insects could kill him. Chapter 1536. If it was an ordinary person, it would be really difficult to survive on this island. Or survive for a month. There were cameras with flashing red dots all around, recording her every move. Ning Shu turned a blind eye to the cameras. She just wanted to get out of here. She just needed to persevere for another 25 days. Ning Shu was skeptical about the 10 million yuan she could get. It would be strange if the TV program didn't have any tricks. How could they give out 10 million? It was also because the client was so anxious that she didn't know what to do, so she took the risk. Because she had no way to get the high surgery fee. Life was so helpless. As for selling her body, it was useless. Ning Shu worked hard to cultivate. She didn't move much and had been moving around this area. Only after being bitten by the snake did Ning Shu not have any more problems. After eating the fasting pill, Ning Shu didn't feel hungry. However, under the camera, Ning Shu could only catch termites to eat. These termites were rich in nutritious protein. Ning Shu ate ants, but she didn't want to eat worms. The taste of worms was too good. When she bit down, the juice splattered and splashed into her mouth. Oh my God! If the worms were fried and crispy, it would be another story. Ning Shu ate ants to show others. How could a person live without eating for a few days? Even if she got out alive, she would probably be dissected and used as a research subject. Ning Shu was like the client. She only collected dew from the leaves in the morning to drink. Ning Shu could at least control her body and let herself excrete as little as possible to ensure that there was enough water in her body. Ning Shu didn't want to fall to the point of drinking her own urine. It was supposed to be an easy task. Just how much of a pain in the ass was he to come up with such a program? Ning Shu had been cultivating. If she really couldn't go back alive, Ning Shu planned to swim home. Of course, Ning Shu didn't even know where the client's home was. She would probably die of exhaustion in the sea, and there were dangerous sea creatures in the sea. Mama, why is this world so cruel? Ning Shu sat under the tree and leaned against it. There were marks carved by Ning Shu with a dagger on the tree to record the days. Ning Shu drew 2 lines to indicate that 2 days had passed, plus the client's 5 days. Only 7 days. There were still 23 days left. He probably couldn't stand Ning Shu's idleness. Ning Shu's walkie-talkie beeped, and a man's cold voice came from it. Number 15, please find your partner now. Ning Shu was speechless. Looking for companions? Even if she had to run all over the mountain, it was already very difficult for her to survive. Why did she have to find trouble for no reason? What if he walked into a dangerous place? It was probably because he wanted her to encounter some kind of danger that it would be especially exciting. Ning Shu pursed his lips and leaned against the tree without moving. Since they were able to use the walkie-talkie, it meant that other than the 20 people, there were other people on the island directing everyone's actions. She had clearly only asked everyone to survive within a month, but now she was actually asked to find her companions. Bullshit. Ning Shu turned a deaf ear to the orders on the walkie-talkie. If there were other people on the island, they would definitely eat and drink well. She might as well just rob them. Ning Shu thought about it and gave up. The most important thing for her was to leave this place alive and get enough money to allow the client's mother to perform the surgery. The client was so poor that she took the risk to participate in this show. Where would she get a large sum of money? The show's reward was 10 million. Ning Shu could only chuckle and didn't have any hope. Ning Shu wiped the sweat off her face. Her t-shirt was all wet and clinging to her skin. The weather was too hot. If this sorry state was broadcasted, it would really be beep beep beep. The walkie-talkie at Ning Shu's waist rang again. Please follow the instructions. Find your companions and survive together with them. Ning Shu let out a long breath, stood up with the help of a wooden stick, and limped away. After all, her leg was injured. Wouldn't it be strange if she walked on flat ground? Find your companions and survive together with them. But in the end, there would only be one winner. Who would get the 10 million? If the 10 million and 20 people were to be divided, each person would get 500,000. If more than one person survived in the end, how would the money be divided? Ning Shu always felt that this show was full of malice. Could it be that they made such a show to test human nature? Ning Shu released her spiritual force. If there was anything dangerous ahead, Ning Shu would avoid it. Not only were the animals dangerous, but the plants here were also dangerous. If she encountered poisonous grass, she would still be in trouble. Ning Shu walked very slowly. If she encountered any suitable herbs, Ning Shu would put it in her mouth and put it on the wound. In order to squeeze out the poisonous blood, Ning Shu cut the wound with a knife. The jungle weather was hot and humid. Ning Shu's wound began to fester, and this was still under the healing of the spiritual energy. The main reason was that the environment was too bad. Ning Shu was more afraid of mosquitoes. The mosquitoes here were very big. If she had malaria, she would die if she didn't get treatment on the island. There were poisonous snakes hidden everywhere. They had worked so hard to make a show. It was simply perverted. The client was really dead. She was really dead. Ning Shu didn't limp fast. It was more to observe the surrounding situation. Ning Shu realized that there were too many cameras on the island to count. How much investment did they have to spend? It was just to make a show. But this show was already dead. Wasn't the TV station afraid of being sued? Or did they want the audience to think that this live broadcast of survival on a deserted island was a show? The person was actually not dead? After walking for a day, Ning Shu met a person. Was this the companion mentioned by the walkie-talkie? This was a woman in her 30s. According to the information, she was a housewife. When she saw Ning Shu's hand, she was pleasantly surprised. She heaved a sigh of relief. I finally found you. What's wrong with your leg? The woman asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu sat on a moss-covered rock and said, I was bitten by a snake. Ning Shu was a little surprised that this housewife could survive for 8 days. The woman leaned against Ning Shu and sat down. Is the snake poisonous? Seeing that you're fine, I guess that snakes shouldn't be poisonous. Ning Shu didn't say anything. According to the environment, snakes in this environment couldn't be harmless and non-poisonous. Even if they weren't poisonous, they could be huge and use their body strength to kill their prey. Ning Shu's woman asked, Did you receive an order from the walkie-talkie? The woman shook her head. Ning Shu frowned. Was she the only one who received it? Ning Shu stared at the woman. Her face had brown spots and her figure was a little out of shape. She didn't have the graceful figure of a young woman. The woman avoided Ning Shu's gaze. She stood up and said, Let's find out what to eat tonight. Chapter 1537. The housewife said that she did not receive an order. But Ning Shu remembered that when she saw the housewife, the first sentence she said was I finally found you. It meant that this person was looking for her, and when she asked her, she said that she did not receive an order. Obviously, she was lying. Have you found a water source? I'm dying of thirst. The housewife Ning Shu asked, By the way, my name is Wu Wan. What about you? Ning Shu said, My name is Su Xn. I didn't find a water source. How did you survive without finding water? I found a kind of beetroot. I eat beetroot every day and barely survive. Wu Wan said. Although she is a housewife, she knows all kinds of vegetables. Ning Shu said, I eat ants every day. Why are you looking for me? It's not easy for the two of us to meet. Let's go together. It's easier for the two of us to survive together. Wu Wan looked like a gentle housewife. Ning Shu nodded, okay. In the evening, Ning Shu and Wu Wan leaned against a tree. There are all kinds of birds in the forest, fireflies fly in front of them, and all kinds of nocturnal animals come out. Ning Shu closed his eyes and released his spiritual force to check the surrounding situation. He also observed Wu Wan. Wu Wan must have also received an order, but he didn't know what the order was. If it was the same order as her, why did she say that she didn't receive an order? Ning Shu will not take the initiative to harm others, but on this isolated island, people's hearts are unpredictable, not to mention the temptation of money. They are all competitors, and there is a conflict of interests. Maybe someone will stab him in the back. Wu Wan is very vigilant. After sleeping for a while, she will wake up to see if there is any danger. She also did not wake up Ning Shu. The night was very peaceful. But in the early morning, when the sky was just bright, Wu Wan pushed Ning Shu and saw that Ning Shu still had his eyes closed and did not wake up. Wu Wan tightly pursed her lips, pulled out a dagger, and ruthlessly stabbed Ning Shu. Ning Shu had been paying attention to Wu Wan with his spiritual power. When he saw Wu Wan holding a sharp knife and stabbing towards him, he opened his eyes and tilted his body. Wu Wan's knife stabbed into the tree trunk behind Ning Shu. Moreover, it was a little deep. Wu Wan's face was pale as she tried to pull the knife out, but she couldn't. Ning Shu looked at Wu Wan. I have no enmity with you. Why do you want to kill me? If this knife really pierced her neck, she would definitely not be able to survive. Ning Shu felt that Wu Wan was quite smart. She killed people in the wee hours of the morning when they were still asleep. Besides, if she killed someone at night, she would have to sleep with the corpse for the whole night. Covering her face with her hands, Wu Wan's shoulders trembled as she yelled out in grief. As long as I kill you, I'll get 10 million yen. I need 10 million yen. Ning Shu shrugged. She also needed $10 million. Who wouldn't want $10 million to participate in this program? My daughter is only 4 years old. She is still so young. Her father abandoned her because of her illness. As long as you die, I will have money to treat Tiantin. Ning Shu narrowed his eyes and looked at the camera tied to the tree with a flashing red. The person who gave them the order was not funny. He gave her a chance to survive with her companion, but let another person kill her. Finding a companion to survive with made people relax their vigilance from the beginning. And the order given to another person was to kill. From the beginning, it was one person who wanted to kill another person. You want to kill me to save your daughter. Your daughter is innocent, and so am I. Forgive me for saying this, but your daughter's illness can't be cured. Wu Wan covered her face and cried. Wu Wan was originally a housewife. It was for her daughter that she summoned up the courage to kill Ning Shu. She wanted to get 10 million yen so much that she threw out a bait. Wu Wan had to hate it. It was just that if you did it once, there would be a second time. This time, you were told to kill one person. Next time, you would kill two. In order to get money, you could only break your bottom line again and again. Because she was not willing to give up 10 million yen just like that. I'm sorry. I really didn't do it on purpose. My Tian, her arms were bruised. She would hug me and say, Mom, don't cry. Tian doesn't hurt. It really doesn't hurt. Wu Wan's expression was panicked and regretful. When she mentioned her daughter, her face was full of pain. Ning Shu pulled out the knife from the tree and threw it in front of Wu Wan. Some things, once started, can't be turned back. Do you really think you can get 10 million yen if you kill me? Ning Shu whispered in Wu Wan's ear. Wu Wan wanted to kill her. Ning Shu was angry, but the society outside the isolated island was a society ruled by law, and there were countless cameras around them. As long as Wu Wan killed her, it would be a crime. The cameras would record it from all directions. Some people could escape the punishment of the law, but ordinary people like Wu Wan would definitely be punished by the law. At that time, don't talk about saving your daughter, you might be in jail. Ning Shu whispered in Wu Wan's ear. Wu Wan clenched her fists tightly, and her body couldn't stop trembling. Ning Shu propped up his body. It seems that the two of us can't be companions anymore. Goodbye. Ning Shu took the branch and limped away. Ning Shu wouldn't kill anyone, but there were countless dangers on this island. There were still 22 days. This time was enough to torture a person. Ning Shu walked slowly, and the walkie-talkie on his body rang again. Number 15, please kill number 8 now. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. He was really trying to find a way to make them fight. Ning took the branch and limped, ignoring the words on the walkie-talkie. This is the jungle, so please respect the law of the jungle. Number 8 wants to kill you, so what you have to do now is to kill number 8 to prevent future troubles. As long as you kill number 8, you will be close to 10 million. The voice on the other end of the walkie-talkie was bewitching. Although it was cold and routine, the content was full of bewitchment. Ning Shu still turned a deaf ear and limped further away from where Wu Wan was. Facing the disobedient Ning Shu, the person on the other end of the walkie-talkie was not angry. Instead, he said, Number 15, please think about your mother. Your mother is lying in the hospital now and needs this money. Maybe your mother has been stopped taking medicine and driven out of the hospital. Number 15, please kill number 8. Your mother will get the best treatment. When you become the final winner, your mother will become a healthy person. Ning Shu stopped in her tracks. She was threatening her with the client's mother. The weaknesses and ambitions of the 20 people were clear to the speaker. Ning Shu wanted to explode, but she couldn't figure out the significance of this program. Chapter 1538. So, please turn back now and kill number 8 who wants to harm you. Ning Shu was speechless. Did he want them to kill each other that much? Ning Shu felt that he didn't want them to kill each other. He wanted to step on everyone's principles and bottom lines step by step. In order to survive, for 10 million, people could do unimaginable things. He wanted to threaten her with Su Xian's mother. Now, Ning Shu had no way to contact Su Xian's mother. She was isolated from the world. Ning Shu's heart was full of compromise for one thing, so she had to compromise endlessly. Number 15, please consider carefully. The person on the other end of the walkie-talkie was polite and distant, but his words didn't sound so nice. He wanted her to kill someone. It was so simple. Ning Shu wanted to give the camera a middle finger, but when she thought of the client's mother, her weakness was still in the other party's hands. There was no benefit in angering the other party. Ning Shu gave the middle finger countless times in her heart. Ning Shu found a place to sit down and began to collect dew. She poured the dew on the leaves into her mouth. In the morning, the dew on the leaves dripped on her body, and it was very uncomfortable. Life in the jungle was really tough. Clothes were wet and dry, soaked in sweat repeatedly, and all kinds of dirt were on them. Ning Shu didn't even dare to pull open her collar and lower her head to smell what she smelled like. It was too fucking perverted. It was only the 8th day, not even half a month. Ning Shu was quite conflicted. She really didn't know what to do. Ning Shu couldn't kill someone who had nothing to do with her. But what if the other party really dealt with the client's mother? Fuck, was she going to fail the first super mission? What the fuck? There were so many choices in life. Ning Shu felt that she had difficulty choosing, and now she was being forced out. Ning Shu was fighting in her heart. Should she destroy her mission for an unrelated person, or should she not let an unrelated person get involved in her mission and die with her mission? But if she was erased too many times, she would also be erased when the time came. Fuck. Ning Shu. He hated this kind of crazy situation the most. Ning Shu laughed sinisterly and simply killed all the other contestants. Having a conscience was the most annoying thing. However, the client was bitten to death by a snake. If he was killed by a human, Ning Shu could naturally kill him without batting an eyelid. Therefore, no one else on the island had harmed Su Xian, or perhaps they didn't have the time to harm her. Ning Shu still couldn't figure out what the person behind this was trying to do. Did he have nothing better to do? Why would SR Group sponsor such a crazy program? Ning Shu felt that he could sit there for a month. Number 15, have you thought it through? The walkie-talkie sounded. Ning Shu moved his lips and silently said, "Fuck you. If I don't move, what can you do to me?" He wondered if there was a world source on this island. After all, it was near the sea and there was water. If he failed this mission, he had to at least earn some money back. The weather on the island was unpredictable, and suddenly it began to rain heavily. The wind blew, the waves surged, and thunder crackled as if it was exploding next to his ears. Ning Shu raised his head and opened his mouth to drink the rainwater. He picked up the soap from the ground, washed his head, and rubbed the dust off his body. He didn't have a container to hold water. Ning Shu could only open his mouth and drink the rainwater until he was full. Ning Shu's heart refused to be tied up on this isolated island. If she knew the law of space, she might be able to teleport away and leave this island. However, this was theoretically feasible. It also depended on the suppression of the plane. The higher the level of the plane, the more serious the suppression. In a low-level plane, you might appear thousands of miles away in a flash, but in a high-level plane, you might only be able to appear 100 meters away. The storm came and went quickly. Ning Shu took a comfortable shower. He took a shower without taking off his clothes and rubbed his hands into his clothes. The clothes were wet and stuck to his body, and he slowly wore them to dry. The camera, which had experienced the storm, was still working. The camera was fearless even in the sea. Number 15. A voice came from the walkie-talkie again. He called number 15, but he didn't know what to say. Then the signal was cut off. What was wrong with him? Ning Shu held the walkie-talkie and curled his lips. Ning Shu found a termite nest, caught a termite, and put it in his mouth to chew. The way he ate was for others to see. Ning Shu was lucky enough to see a beehive. There must be honey in the beehive. Ning Shu felt that his mouth had been bland recently. If he could eat some natural and sweet honey, he would definitely be very happy. However, he saw thumb-sized wasps crawling on the surface of the beehive. Ning Shu chose to give up. How painful would it be if he was stung? Ning Shu took a dagger and carved a mark on the tree. Another day passed. Probably seeing that Ning Shu was useless, the person on the other side of the walkie-talkie chose to ignore him for the time being. Ning Shu walked around with a branch, hoping to find the world's origin. As long as he thought about how he was looking for the world's origin, Ning Shu felt that the days were not so difficult. "There's no world's origin on this island," 2333 said. "Ning Shu, fuck off." This feeling was like watching a deduction show that told her who the murderer was from the beginning. Go to hell with the spoiler party. There's something I want to say right now. She couldn't even deceive herself. Knowing that there was no world's origin, Ning Shu was too lazy to run all over the island. He sat on the ground for a long time without moving. If poisonous scorpions crawled in front of her, Ning Shu would drag off his dirty shoes and slap the poisonous insects to death. His decadent life didn't need to be explained. Ning Shu had been cultivating and had martial arts. If people wanted to bully her, they would probably hit their heads full of bumps. She didn't take the initiative to harm these people, but these people couldn't hurt her. If they came to get 10 million, then don't blame her for being rude. The next day, Ning Shu first drank dew and carved a mark on the tree with a dagger. She stayed motionless for another day. There were 21 days left. It wouldn't be bad to stay like this for a month and then leave the island. What Ning Shu was most worried about was that they might all be wiped out. It turned out that Ning Shu might have underestimated the bad taste of people who played games. Ning Shu didn't move in one place, but the mountain didn't move and the water turned. A man and Ning Shu met. This man was also in a sorry state. The bottom of his suit pants were torn, his shirt was dirty, and he was holding a suit jacket in his hand. He came to participate in a survival program and wore a suit. It was so formal. The lawyer saw Ning Shu and looked vigilant. He slowly approached and looked around. "Are you alone?" "You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.